You damn right. Hope everybody is having a good Tuesday. We are headed towards the conference finals in the NBA. Now the conference finals are set in the NHL, and they do include that team wearing green in Dallas. What a game last night. What a victory. We will get into a lot of those two today, specifically the basketball side. There's been another firing of a coach in the NBA. We talked about him yesterday. We'll get into that. We've got an update for you if you're a Longhorn basketball fan. We got an NFL update this hour. There's a lot going on. We may even get a pretty cool wrestling interview later on in the show for all you nerdy pro wrestling fans like me, and even Zay will admit back in the Attitude Era, he was watching some wrestling. He was checking it out. Chad and Zay on a Tuesday. I'm Chad Hastings. He is Isaiah Collier. What's up, Zay?
What up, Chad? Happy Tuesday, everybody. Feeling good, feeling great. How are you?
I am well. I am doing well. If we could line up an interview with any pro wrestler in their prime that you really loved, who would it be? Who's the person you want to talk to?
Man, that's tough.
Because I know you were an Attitude Era guy.
Yeah.
So is it Stone Cold? Is it Rock? Is it Jericho? Is it who you want? Is it Trish Stratus? What are you thinking?
Man, I did love some Jericho. It'll probably be between Jericho and Stone Cold.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And both would be an incredible interview. Heck, today, both would be an incredible interview.
Yeah, I mean, Jericho, when he does the lion salt, just the grace, the athleticism.
Mm-hmm.
He was such an a-hole.
Oh,
Still is.
he's still that.
Yeah, still is.
He's such a good heel.
And the walls of Jericho. Any move that you could do to like your siblings and your cousins and stuff, and it not be too bad, you're all right with me. Like I can't be going around stunnering people and stunnering
the stunner can be
nephews.
dangerous.
It can be very dangerous.
Right.
But I have gotten a few kinfolks in the walls of Jericho throughout my life. Very proudly, I would say that absolutely.
I'm just glad to know that you weren't going around like throwing the pile driver on cousins in the summertime or whatever at the Collier family functions.
Yeah, the rock bottom's always safe, like into a pool.
Rock bottom, you're good there?
You're always good there.
Yeah, right.
Sweet chin music, not so much.
Yeah, not that. Don't try to do that. Kids, do not try the super kicks at home.
Pedigree, not so much either.
No, that's a dangerous one. Yeah.
If I stick with the walls of Jericho, rock bottom in the pool setting, and you're good to go.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Jericho because that's part of the way I can promote tomorrow night. If you're headed out to the AEW event, we're going to get Chris Jericho against one of the younger AEW stars, and I had to pull up his name here. I can't remember it, but it's a Falls Count Anywhere match.
Oh.
With Jericho.
All right.
So Jericho may end up going up and down some stairs and go out to the concession area at the Moody Center tomorrow night.
I'm with it.
I'm really excited about that
Trying to see Chris Jericho fight at Tony C's Pizza.
So, yes. That would be good. That would actually be good. Throwing Tony C's Pizza on everybody. Speaking of Tony's, we're hoping to visit with Tony Khan, the founder and co-owner of AEW. Of course, part of the ownership group of the Fulham soccer team, the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's been involved in a lot of stuff. But for this week's purposes, he is bringing AEW to the Moody Center for the first time. So 2:05 today, we're hoping to visit with Tony Khan. He's a busy man getting that event set up, but we appreciate him for his time.
Busy's an understatement. Like this dude, does he sleep?
I don't know, man. And I mean, he's the guy. They show it on this All Access show. He's the one that is, the executive VP. What are all the things I wrote down? President, chief executive, GM, executive producer, co-owner, founder. He's the guy with the headset on, communicating with everybody during the shows.
Right.
And they'll show him on this All Access deal or whatever. And ultimately, I guess he's the last word on what happens, on how everything gets booked in AEW.
And he's the chief football strategy officer with the Jags.
How about that? See, that's what, and I know we were talking about today. You're going to fit in a question about the Jags today, and I'm interested to hear his answer because, maybe it's just like, dude, how do you find time?
Yeah, I'm just like, what?
Figure all this out. And maybe what kind of a guy is Trevor Lawrence, and what kind of a team is that going to be this year, getting Calvin Ridley, out of his situation, what that offense could look like this year. Should be really interesting. So we'll hopefully talk with Tony a little later in the show. Got a big night tonight in the NBA, but we do need to start with the downside of the NBA. We were talking about Philly yesterday. They lose to Boston big in Game 7. They had the chance in Game 6, didn't get it done. Another bad ending for Doc Rivers, and now it's over for Doc Rivers in Philly. Zay, 3 years for Doc Rivers, and they fire him today.
So let's paint the picture for these last 3 years for Doc. He had Ben Simmons. That fool didn't even want to play basketball anymore. And then he had James Harden, who goes to strip clubs and stuff. He has to deal with Joel Embiid and his health problems. But it always falls on the coach.
Yeah.
Yes, it always falls on the coach, whether it's fair or not, which, say what you want about Doc. Yes, he's made some coaching mistakes. I thought he did get out coached by Mazzulla at the very end, especially when Jason Tatum was just ISOing a non-100% Joel Embiid for all of Game 7. Doc, again, sent a double team. That could have saved your job. Straight up. That could have saved his job of him just blitzing Jason Tatum and getting the ball out of his hands. Now, Jaylen Brown was knocking down threes, and so was Malcolm Brogdon, and Derek White hit a couple, but you got to live with that. And, yeah, man, he hasn't got a fair shot these last 3 years, which that's not long at all. Like, how do you develop a culture in 3 years? You know what I'm saying? And we know Daryl Morey is a huge James Harden guy. He was when he was in Houston. So if James and Doc aren't getting along, then Morey's going to go James Harden's way because he's trying to keep him. There's been rumors about James Harden wanting to go back to Houston for some reason. I mean, I know he was there for a long time. Maybe he likes the H. I love the H too, so I feel him. I'd rather be in Houston than Philadelphia. But if I was playing, I'd rather be in Philadelphia because we have a better chance of winning the championship than going to the crazy West, which who knows if they get Wembanyama tonight. We don't know that. I feel like James Harden is banking on Wemba getting to the Rockets and says, oh, I can play with him. He's going to change my game, which he would, but that's a huge risk. We're going to talk about that later. And yeah, man, we talked about Doc's history yesterday. He came from Pop. We remember his playing days. Doc was hard-nosed playing for those Atlanta Hawk teams. Like, he would get into it with Bird and all those classic rivalries with the Hawks and the Celtics, trying to get to the conference finals and stuff. And they were some good teams playing with Dominique Wilkins and them. So now that he's a coach and you look at that 2008 team with the Boston Celtics, he's been riding that wave for a really long time. And look at that coaching staff. That coaching staff, Tom Thibodeau, who's also been riding that 2008 wave for a long time. But they have 4 Hall of Famers on that squad. So I'm not saying it's never easy to win in the NBA, but there are teams that sometimes we don't pay attention to the coaching very much. Like Eric Spoelstra, you look at him, we know he's a good coach. We didn't know that when he had LeBron. We just thought, oh, LeBron's your second coach. You have one of the best players to ever walk on the hardwood. So what are you really doing? And then we've seen Eric Spoelstra go into multiple conference finals, taking those 2020 Heat to the NBA finals. That looks bad for somebody like Doc Rivers, who never makes it over the hump. You know what I'm saying? You see Steve Kerr taking over from Mark Jackson. He switched that team around like that. Just like that. His first few years, didn't have any coaching experience. Just came in and figured it out. Said, you know what? Mark Jackson was running a lot of NBA stuff, like old school NBA stuff, having Steph Curry and ISOs at the elbow, just stupid stuff. Like Steph Curry, ISO at the elbow, that makes no sense. Steve Kerr came along and said, you know, we're going to run more of a motion type offense where there's really no scouting. Clay and Steph are just going to run off a whole bunch of screens. We have a playmaker in Draymond Green, which is very different, being that 6'8" power forward type. And he showed all of the best in the Warriors, while Doc Rivers doesn't necessarily do that. Like this season, we saw James Harden. He would eat at times, and that would look like the best version of the Sixers. And then James would just be invisible and have single-digit games and have like 11 points and 13 points. And it's like, Doc, what's going on there? What are you telling him? Why isn't he still being aggressive? Why those floaters and layups that he was taking in game 1 and 4, why wasn't he taking that the rest of the series? Like, you can't allow Joel Embiid to come back and mess up the flow of somebody as good as James Harden. You got to make that work. Even with Joel Embiid not being 100%, you have to make that work because you saw the winning recipe. It was there. It was James Harden being aggressive. You got to jump James Harden's bones. Like, damn it, do not pass the ball out when you get in the lane to PJ Tucker. Do not pass the ball out in the lane to DeAnthony Milton. They're not giving us nothing. And, Doc, you shouldn't be playing DeAnthony Milton that much anyway. I'd rather play Niang, which that's also a bad move, probably why you got fired too and why y'all lost the series. But still, you got to jump James Harden's bones. And, James out here going to Vegas and stuff like that, and you comparing him to Rodman. He ain't Rodman. I'd be pissed. Like, if I'm Doc Rivers, I'd be pissed. I wouldn't let the media know, but I'd be like, yeah, that's James's issue. Next question.
Well, of all the decisions we could talk about, and you talk about not doubling on Jason Tatum, the decision before that might have led to this as well, for whatever it's worth, he's the one that let him go to Vegas. He is that one. Did he not feel like he could stand up to him? Did he feel like he'd get the mopey James Harden if he said no? I don't know, but Doc Rivers let him go to Vegas.
Yeah, and maybe he had pushback. Maybe he let James know, like, yo,
he probably,
I wouldn't advise you do this. I wouldn't do this. I know that Neek and them, if I was trying to go to Vegas and we had to play the Celtics back in the 80s, I know that'd be a serious problem. And James Harden, especially when you have Morey on your side, he was like, I've always done things like this. I'm going to the Hall of Fame doing things like this.
Yeah.
So what can you really say?
Right.
And Doc knows that he'll be the first one gone before James. He knows more, which happened today.
Exactly.
He knows. That's how you keep James Harden there. You got to get rid of Doc, who he had a little bit of an issue with.
Somebody texted, that's Harden in a nutshell. It's me first, championship second. So he does have an option. He's got like a $36 million player option for next year, does James Harden. But here's the good and the bad, because these are some wild numbers. So in NBA history, there are only 5 coaches that have ever had a winning record in 16 consecutive seasons or more. Jerry Sloan, Doc Rivers, Pat Riley, Phil Jackson, Greg Popovich. That's the good side. The bad side, he just lost his 10th Game 7, including 5 in a row in Game 7. And it's the 9th straight time Doc Rivers has had a team in the conference semis and they didn't make the conference finals. 9 in a row.
See,
in that situation.
That don't look good.
No, it does not.
That don't look good. But again, like I said yesterday, Kawhi Leonard was always hurt during those Clippers days.
Yep.
Chris Paul was always hurt. Him and Blake Griffin, always hurt. Paul George, his neck was like snapped in half at one point of his career. So he's been dealing with injuries too. And then you come to the Philadelphia 76ers and you got Ben Simmons with his mental health issues and stuff, which there's nothing to joke about, but he had issues. This is a guy that was the former #1 pick. You're thinking, okay, I could build something around this. He kind of plays like how I used to play. But Doc Rivers wasn't a scoring point.
Mm-hmm.
He was a playmaker, tough, hard-nosed, defensive-minded type guy. And he was trying to find the best out of Ben. But the Philadelphia media got to Ben. The Philadelphia fans got to Ben. And he couldn't take it. And then the Joel Embiid thing, they kind of clashed heads and stuff. Doc Rivers, he's had some really bad luck as a head coach. And even like when he first started, he had Tracy McGrady and that's it. And he ends up losing to Detroit Pistons teams. Like those legendary Pistons teams with Chauncey Billups and Rip Hamilton and Rasheed and Ben Wallace, like he loses to really great teams most of the time, never 100%. So, yes, I know those stats are terrible. A lot is his fault because he still can make a lot of decisions that could change the game and maybe change the series to where they win them. But he's had some really bad luck throughout his coaching career.
And I think it's both of those things. Like, both can be true. He's ended up with a lot of bad luck, and then you would argue from a basketball standpoint, he does not always make great decisions. He does not always – you don't always come out of it thinking, man, he coached every bit he could. He tried everything he could think of there. You don't always get that feeling with Doc.
Like you said, all those 5 coaches, Sloan, Phil Jackson, Pop, and Pat Riley, right?
Yep.
I'm thinking those Spurs teams that were winning championships, not too many injuries there. I don't remember TP just missing series and Manu missing series. I don't remember Magic and Showtime just missing series. Now, Wordy and Byron Scott, they missed the series against the finals against Jordan in 91. But, other than that, you got to have a little bit of luck. Like Jerry Sloan, Stockton and Malone played 20 years and he got close, but Mike was still in the league.
Right, yeah.
So it just...
So they didn't ultimately get the championship, but they did get to the NBA Finals,
right?
Obviously.
And Doc, he's got one. And again, that one, he's been really riding that wave. Like
he'll remind you of 08 anytime you want it.
The Boston Celtics 08 team, they act like they're a dynasty.
Yeah, they do.
Like the way KG talks, the way Paul Pierce talks, and how angry KG was when Ray Allen left to go to Miami. He was so mad for like 10 years until I think the 75 a year ago when they had the top 75 players of all time, and they had to see Ray Allen, and people were forcing them to take pictures together. And then KG talks about just seeing all these greats dapping each other up, and he was realized, wow, Magic used to go against Bird. Look how cool they are. You know what I'm saying? Jordan used to go against, well, he didn't say Isaiah, but Jordan used to go against so-and-so. Look how cool everybody is with him. I need to be the bigger man and get over stuff like this, even though Ray was a damn traitor. That's some traitor stuff, Ray. To go from Boston to the rival Miami Heat, that's foul, especially the way the Heat was beating up on the Celtics during the end of that Big Three run with the Celtics. That was messed up. So I get it. KG, the way he played was petty. So for him to take that off the court, very petty too. But yeah, man, Doc Rivers, you knew this was coming. Do I think it's completely fair? No. Just like I don't think Monty Williams was fair. Just like I don't think Mike Budenholzer was fair. Or Nick Nurse.
Yeah, and since you said those names, all three of those names are going to be discussed when it comes to Philly. I also see Frank Vogel's name on this list. I see Mike D'Antoni's name on this list. Don't laugh. And I see Sam Cassell's name on this list.
Okay.
As guys that my sources telling ESPN, all those guys, the three you mentioned and the ones I mentioned, might be in the discussion.
James Harden and Sam Cassell are really tight. And Tyrese Maxey.
Okay.
They're all really tight with Sam, and I think it's just kind of Sam's a little bit younger than Doc, so he gets it. He played in the league. He was a point guard. I see those guys training with Sam in the offseason, so that's very interesting. Okay. The Mike D'Antoni, what do you mean don't laugh? That's my guy. I remember I just saw Mike D'Antoni. That's the homie.
Is he ready to go back?
He looked very comfortable.
Is he ready?
He looked very comfortable eating that good-ass lasagna. Shout out to my man, Doc Abrams. He looked very comfortable, and I know he got some paper in the wallet still. He don't got a coach, but we know him and James Harden have a good chemistry also.
I was going to say, we know he's going to tell James Harden to be aggressive. We know that for sure.
Yeah, and he probably won't talk about his defense very much.
No, that's exactly right. Yeah, that might be the match made in heaven. So Doc Rivers fired in Philly on the same day that we will get the Western Conference Finals started tonight. LA and Denver will crank it up at 7:30. But before that, it is draft lottery night. I'm wearing my Maverick shirt today because I am Lloyd Christmas today. You're telling me there's a chance. The Mavs are involved now. I think the Mavs are at 3%. Is that what it is? 2%? 1%? Whatever. But they do slightly have a shot to get Victor Wembanyama. But if you're a Spurs fan or a Rockets fan, you know that you have the best chance, along with Detroit, of getting Wembanyama. And that happens tonight at 7 o'clock. We'll find out who ends up with Wembanyama. We'll also later in the show get into some of those other names that'll be in that area of 2, 3, 4, 5 in the draft, because obviously Spurs and Rockets can't both have it. But if the numbers play out, Zay, they'll both be top 5, maybe even top 3. Even if, let's say, Detroit ends up with Wembanyama, it could be Spurs Rockets right after that, or Rockets Spurs. So we'll let all of you know. Zay will give you a thought of who's going to be next, including a guy you may have seen play at Alabama that was kind of connected to some of the mess that they had in the last year or so.
Do you think he's a Spurs guy?
Didn't feel like it.
I don't think so.
No.
When you hear stuff about Steven Jackson and DeJounte Murray and how they feel about the Spurs organization, it doesn't seem like Brandon Miller fits. I'm just going out on a limb. I don't know. Maybe I might be crazy. Who knows? Maybe they could change the fella. But just the European Wembanyama, that couldn't be more on point for Spurs culture, because they're big on that. They're huge on culture. Papa always says, we love guys who are over themselves. That means don't bring no ego in.
Right.
Don't be asking for no extra money because we're a low market, and even though we might have a little bit, you ain't getting it. Tim took less money. Tony took less money. Manu took less money for the greater good. Yeah. And 5 championships came with all that. Started with David Robinson early in the 90s. You go all the way back to the George Gervin days. Like, there's a culture in San Antonio, and not too many NBA teams have that. So Spurs, if Wembanyama doesn't fall to you, I'm very interested to see where they go. It's very interesting. Because Scoot Henderson, he gets Russell Westbrook comparisons. I'm not saying off the court, but on the court. Does that really fit what, San Antonio wants to do? We'll see.
Draft lottery tonight at 7. So the probability is 14% for Detroit, Houston, and San Antonio. It goes down from there. The Mavs are sitting at that 3% spot. Now, as an Aggie, I'll tell you, when you're not the kind of Aggie that you're when you're not the 100% crazy Aggie, they call you a 2%er sometimes. But today, I'm a 3%er because 3% is more than nothing. 3%, and it's better than Chicago, Toronto, and New Orleans. New Orleans has a 0.5% chance to get Wembanyama.
They better not get him. They better not get him.
Can you imagine if the Pelicans swooped in and figured that out? So let us know how nervous you are today. Rockets fans, Spurs fans, how excited are you that it is lottery day? Mavs fans, do you think you have a chance? And for that matter, there are a couple other teams up there in the double-digit percentages. Portland and Charlotte, 10.5 and 12.5%. So we'll see how that goes tonight. Draft lottery, big old envelopes and cards and weird representatives that you didn't know. Like, oh, I didn't know that person was in the ownership group. Cool. And then, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I like when they bring the kids of owners and GMs or former players.
Yeah, those are cool.
Like when they have actual front office people there, I'm like, you're just a suit.
By the way, we didn't talk about it when it happened, but rest in peace to the Cleveland kid. Did you see that story?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, Dan Gilbert is the owner, right?
Yeah.
Dan Gilbert's kid had some kind of a medical issue going on, I guess, and he was only like 26, 28, whatever it was.
Sad.
That was really sad, man. Rest in peace for a while there, as Cleveland always seemed to be right up there towards the top. And that kid was the good luck charm.
He was.
A couple times.
Yeah, he was. I want to say when they got Kyrie, or when they knew they were going to get Kyrie at the number 1 pick, that's when he became famous, and he was super hype about it.
Rocking those glasses.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
He was a G.
Man, rest in peace. And hopefully they'll have a good time tonight with the draft lottery. 7 o'clock, then 7:30 is Lakers Denver. We'll be previewing that series as we get through it. We'll look at that coming up. Also, with the draft coming up, we'll get you a Dylan Mitchell update for you Longhorn fans.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, it's not exactly the update Zay wanted. We'll get you that coming up. Plus, in the crap bag at 12:45, I will tell you about something the NFL is going to do this season for the very first time. And it will really affect you specifically if you are old. We'll get to it on the Horn. All right, let's talk a little Apple leasing. Any make, any model, any car, any truck, they can get you into it, and it's so easy because they've got all the connections around town, around the area, around the region. If they need to, around the country, they'll do the legwork for you. They'll go find all those deals, all those rebates, all the selection that you're looking for. You don't have to worry about wasting all that time. Dealership here, dealership there. No, they'll do it for you with Apple Leasing. You just call 346-9977 like I did. I talked to Beth. You may talk to Beth. You may talk to one of their other great experts. They've been doing this since the mid-'80s, walking people through this leasing process. You'll be paying for the part of the car that you're using. You'll be getting the finances all set up, and you'll always have that feeling of driving a newer, dependable car, or maybe it's somebody in your family that's about to need a new car, and you may want to make sure they have something dependable. They can help you there too. Same discounts and incentives that the dealers get. They'll pass those savings on to you, and they will deliver it right to your driveway, just like they did for me, if that is what you need them to do. Call 346-9977, 346-9977, or go to appleleasing.com.
Chad and Zay.
Love this song. Yeah, baby. Over the Mountain by Ozzy Osbourne. Come on now. You ever heard any Ozzy say?
A little bit. Never heard the album, though.
Maybe we need to get you on an Ozzy album at some point.
I'm with it.
One of my favorite voices in that world. Lead singer of Black Sabbath, of course, back in the day. A little bit more on the sinister side than what the solo career ended up being. But Ozzy's one of the great ones. And the parents were terrified of him for years. Oh, my God. But Ozzy was pretty messed up, and he did bite the head off the bird. And
I thought it was a bat.
a bat.
Wait, he did both?
It was a bird and a bat, I think.
Oh, man.
I think technically it was a bird and a bat. There was the bird in a meeting where he bit the head off a dove, and then at a show, he grabbed what he claims he thought was a fake bat, like a rubber bat. And it was not.
Oh, my God.
It was real.
That is so
It
nasty.
was real. Unfortunately, too, recently Ozzy has had to officially get off tour, which is a shame. He's been going through a whole lot. Ozzy, I believe, was diagnosed with, was it Parkinson's a couple years ago? Or maybe a form of dementia. I can't remember exactly. I think it was Parkinson's that he's dealing with. He still has the voice to be able to record records, but just doesn't have the ability right now. Had an accident years ago with an ATV. I think he's had to have hips replaced and stuff. But just one of the absolute best live shows I've ever seen. Shout out to Ozzy. Get yourself some, check out that new Ozzy. Still really good. That voice still sounds awesome. Just unfortunately, he's not out there touring right now. So Ozzy gets us started today. We got a lot of basketball on the board. We talked about the draft lottery. A Spurs fan says, it's my birthday. And I can't think of a better present. Go Spurs. Yeah. Happy birthday to you. And for your sake, I hope you get what you want. See, that's what I'm trying to figure out as a Mavs fan. Now we're to the day. So you tell me, Zay, who should I be hoping gets Victor Wembanyama if it's a Texas team and it's not my Mavs? Who do I want? Where do I want him to go? Is it just, like, what's the lesser of these two evils for me? Is it Houston?
Yeah, I would say Houston.
Because then I'm not going to have to deal with, like, 3 more Spurs rings under Pop.
Yeah, exactly. Because if they get Wemba, you got at least 5 more years of Pop.
Oh, Lord.
If they don't, I could see Pop retiring in the next 2 years or so.
I will chip in for the bottle of wine. I can't buy the whole thing because he's really into wine, but I'll help. If Wembanyama goes somewhere else, I will help buy that bottle of wine to say goodbye to Pop.
Yeah.
Please get him away from the Mavs.
Oh, I get it.
Oh, my God.
Those are some crazy series.
That is tonight. Lottery time in the NBA, and we'll find out who gets Victor Wembanyama. And again, coming up at 1, I thought it'd be a good idea to have Zay break down a couple of these other guys for you. It's not just about Victor Wembanyama tonight. Obviously, ultimately, that is the big prize everybody's talking about. But we'll take a look at some other guys that are kind of right in that area, starting with Brandon Miller, and talk about some of the other guys and how they could fit in with certain teams. We also have Western Conference Finals Game 1 tonight. Lakers and Denver, 7:30 ESPN. Zay, let's go ahead and start at the end. If you had a prediction right now, have you worked one up in your head yet, or are you still working it out?
Yeah, I have. I don't like it.
What you got?
Nuggets in 7.
Okay.
I don't like it. The Lakers have proved me wrong in the last 2 series.
Oh, I hope they do it again then. I'm rooting for the Lakers, but I think I'm with you on the pick, and I think you're gonna dislike mine even more than yours. I think it's Denver in 5.
Wow.
I think it's Denver in 5. I think Denver's going to hold home court. I think they're going to split one and grab one in L.A., and then I think they're going to close it out. They have been the most consistently good team, and I'm trying to think of the bad version of them we've seen, and I just think they're bad. They're bad. It feels a whole lot better than everybody else's, so I'm leaning their way.
Yeah, and this is clearly their toughest matchup. You look at their first round against the Timberwolves and second round against the Suns. Rudy Gobert might be a defensive player of the year, 3-time defensive player of the year, but Joker had his way with him. And Joker didn't have to work on a defensive end. You fast forward to the next series with DeAndre Ayton, who he had his way with on the offensive end, but DeAndre Ayton didn't make him work on the defensive end.
Yeah.
This series, you can't hide from Anthony Davis.
And the last time they went head up in this round, Davis got him.
Exactly.
Davis won the series.
Yes, and Joker's a lot better than he was in 2020, especially offensively, especially this team is better. Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, those guys, Jamal Murray.
Murray's better.
He's better.
Yeah.
You know, he might not be as springy as he was before he tore his ACL, but he's a better overall player. And that's the matchup to watch the whole series, Joker versus Anthony Davis, because both of the scouting reports are going to be the same for Anthony Davis and for Nikola Jokic. For Joker, it's we got to go at Anthony Davis. We got to just dominate him on the inside. And when you have the three on the outside, you have to take it. Joker's going to have to make the three in this series to get Anthony Davis out the post, especially if they want to put Dennis Schroeder on Jamal Murray at times, because Steph Curry had a solid series, but he made him work for every bucket. Full court, just locking them up, zigzag drill. And Jamal Murray, he's way different than Steph Curry in his style of play. He's going to post you up. He's kind of old school in that way. He's 6'5". He's a great post player. And the reason why he's able to post is because Nikola Jokic is such a good shooter, you can't really help on Murray. So that Schroeder matchup, that's going to be interesting because D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves did do a good job against Klay Thompson, but it's going to be a lot trying to put him with Jamal Murray for the whole series and expect Austin Reeves to give you what he gave you offensively in that Warriors series.
Yeah, Reeves' gas tank will be interesting to watch for me.
Yeah.
His cardio in this series is going to be interesting. Back to the two centers. So for you, defensively, both ways, is it just straight up? Is this just mano a mano the whole time, or are you looking for opportunities to help, to trap, to double? Like, how are you dealing with each of the big men?
The Nuggets are going to have to double Anthony Davis at times, not all the time. It depends on where he's located. If he's sitting at the top of the key or something like that, then leave him alone. But most likely somebody's going to be coming off a dribble handoff, or he'll be going to set an all-ball screen.
Now, if he keeps hitting those 15-footers, you're going to have to do something
about that. You're going to have to do something about that.
Yeah.
And they're going to test it. They're going to say, all right, let's see if you can knock these down consistently. And if you can, we'll adjust from there. But they're going to be playing drop coverage on them. And those guys, Reeves, LeBron, D'Angelo Russell, Rui Hachimura is going to have to be huge because Denver, they're a big team. Michael Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon, both of those guys are around 6'10". So Rui Hachimura, he's going to have to come in and be as good as he was in those first few games against the Grizzlies. But yeah, the Joker, he'll be playing drop coverage, which means when he's playing defense and his man goes out and sets the screen, he won't be pressing up. He'll be kind of waiting for guys to come to him and kind of hanging around the paint. So those ball handlers, Schroeder, Russell, Reeves, LeBron, they're going to have to really attack him and really knock down those mid-range jumpers, which D'Angelo Russell, I think that's what he's best at. He's a really good mid-range jumper shooter. He did that in the Warriors series that kind of made the Warriors have to play everybody else different because he was attacking Steph and Jordan Poole. I think that Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Jamal Murray are better defenders, but they're not elite defenders.
There's another guy I'm glad you mentioned, Caldwell-Pope. Every once in a while there's a game where you realize, oh my God, got to get out on that guy.
Yeah, and he knows LeBron and AD because he won that 2020 championship with them. So
there's a big difference in this series.
That's a little bit different.
He's wearing a different jersey this time. Yeah, that's big.
And then what's the King gonna bring? Because he has to be great. All that Anthony Davis is going to be responsible for with guarding Joker, and then, what he has to provide on the offensive end, just making Joker work. LeBron, he can't be that passive. He's going to have multiple 30-point games if they want to have a chance. And Aaron Gordon, he's a solid defender. He matches up with LeBron pretty well, especially with the way LeBron's been playing lately. Like LeBron, he was really aggressive in Game 6, which you could blame JaMychal Green for that, kind of just poking the bear, Dylan Brooks style. Bad move, JaMychal Green. It came back to bite you in the ass, and LeBron gave you 30-pointer, shooting 10 for 14 from the field. Very efficient. And then also, LeBron having the best IQ maybe in NBA history. When the Warriors said Andrew Wiggins has a rib contusion, and then they want to put Andrew Wiggins, who probably weighs about 40 pounds less than LeBron, on Bron, and he has to guard him in the post and stuff, LeBron went right at him. So Aaron Gordon, he can't get into foul trouble because there's nobody that they could bring in. And then you think about somebody like Bruce Brown. Bruce Brown's been amazing.
He's been really good too.
This Nuggets team, they remind you of the 2011 Mavs, where Dirk.
Oh, that's an interesting comp.
Where Dirk and Joker are basically the same, and how just unstoppable they are. Jason Terry and Jamal Murray are very similar because Jason Terry used to be able to take over games.
But there's depth guys.
They got depth guys that can shoot. They got guys like Peja and Michael Porter Jr. are very similar.
Who's deeper with these two teams for you? Who's got the bench you can count on the most?
Man,
because we've seen some of these Laker guys wake up. We've seen some of the Hachimuras in the world.
I would say the Lakers.
Is it the Lakers?
I'm looking at, Dennis Schroeder. Like, remember, Schroeder started this last game in game 6.
Right.
So they still, Vanderbilt, he's going to be huge. They'll probably put him on Murray a lot.
I was going to say, we haven't talked about him yet. That's big.
But Michael Porter Jr., you're going to have to knock down those threes, man, because they're going to leave Anthony Davis on the island with Jokic, which they should. Like, Anthony Davis is a really good defender. Jokic still might get 30, but at least it's not 45, 13, and 11.
Dude,
that's what you don't want.
With these two guys going one-on-one, I'd like both arenas, when they go one-on-one, just a couple times. For me, the old NBA guy, I need the sound system to give me a mer, mer, brr, brr. Can I have it? Come on, they used to do that.
I dig that.
That's all we had back in the day when everybody's down on the blocks and everything. A lot of text rolling in. Remember, Specs text line 337-3776. Give us your prediction for this series, your thoughts on the draft lottery. This says Olajuwon equals Wembanyama equals go Rockets. There's a Rockets fan wanting some Wembanyama. That's a lot of pressure to put on the kid right away.
We're comparing them to Dream?
Man.
That's what I'm talking about.
This one says, Chad, Nuggets in 5. They went 7 games with the sorry-ass Suns. Wait a second.
That was 6.
Didn't they pound them in game 6?
Yeah.
Yeah, remember, that didn't go 7. That went 6, and they embarrassed them in game 6. So I hope I'm dead wrong on this thing because I am rooting for the Lakers. I've rooted for LeBron other than the series against the Mavs. I've rooted for his teams. I like, that whole thing, and I like it when Davis is aggressive. And I like the idea of – I just love this matchup too. Big man on big man. I like when Anthony Davis proves people wrong. I like when that quiet demeanor of his gets aggressive and proves everybody wrong. That's what I hope we see, but I think Denver's going to be better. We'll see.
If I'm Mike Malone, I'm telling Joker, don't settle. Yes, you're going to have to take some threes, especially when Jamal Murray's in the post and they have to help on him. He's going to have to hit some threes to bring Anthony Davis out, not just for his sake, but for everybody else's sake that's trying to get to the rim, like Bruce Brown and Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, and they like to cut off Joker. When he gets the ball in that post, that's why he's so good, because they'll fly to the ball, and then they'll go back door, and they'll hit you on the dime, on the money, and beautiful Aaron Rodgers pass just to the cup. And a lot of teams, they're not used to playing that way because nobody in the NBA plays that style anymore, or really has played that style ever, where you just run your offense completely through your center, especially when centers are basically extinct. So it's going to be a really fun series. I'm really excited. And, LeBron, if the Lakers want to win it, LeBron's going to have to hit that outside shot consistently.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. 7:30 tonight, ESPN for everything. Draft lottery on ESPN, followed by Western Conference Finals Game 1. Longhorn fans, don't worry. We're going to get you that Dylan Mitchell update coming up that Zay does not want to tell you about, but he will tell you about. And in the crap bag, it's the first time the NFL has ever done it. Old folks, you're going to need a password. I'll tell you what it is next on The Horn.
Chad and Zay.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Little Eddie Money for the people.
Lil Eddie.
Eddie Money, and so this song is called, is it Take Me Home Tonight?
Yes.
Is that what it's called? Okay.
Yep.
And then he's got Ronnie Spector in this song. Oh, so good. Just like Ronnie sang, Ronnie Spector from the Ronettes. Perfect combo of voices in this song.
It's a jam, man.
Yeah, this one lives pretty well. This one lives really well. Eddie Money and Ozzy getting us started today. A lot of good text rolling in. This one says, don't forget about the altitude in Denver.
Woo.
It's going to play a role. LeBron James on Denver's altitude. It is real. You get tired a lot faster than you would if you weren't in it. Yeah.
Man, I was in Breckenridge, Colorado a few years ago. I woke up in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And the altitude's way higher there, but still, not farther off. Not farther off in Denver.
First time I ever went to Colorado was a family trip, and my dad and I went to play tennis. And he told me the whole time we were driving over there. Now, remember, we're at altitude, so it's going to be different. Oh, yeah, Dad, whatever, sure. what are you talking about? I'm a tennis star. I'm a stud. I can go all day. Oh, my God. I mean, it was like just hitting a little bit. Okay, hold it. Wait, hold it. Yeah, fast.
Yeah, and we know LeBron James, he can get cramps sometimes.
He can. And what's up with that ankle?
I know.
How's that ankle feeling? He's had a couple days.
He's had a couple days.
Yeah, keep it in mind. That is game one tonight of that series. We'll get you some more basketball, a little bit of NFL coming up here as well. Get you a couple reminders, though, before that. Couple of expiration reminders here for you to get registered. We've got the Whataburger ticket takeout. Last day is today. If you want to win a pair of Texas baseball tickets, thanks to Whataburger for being a part of it. Visit the contest page at hornfm.com to win a pair of tickets to Texas and West Virginia. You can check that out at hornfm.com. Also, the Fantasy Golf Championship is out there, powered by Callahan's General Store. That is open right now. Go to hornfm.com, make your picks. Got to do it by 5:55 a.m. this Thursday because they are going to be teeing off at the PGA. First place overall wins bragging rights and a $100 gift card to Callahan's General Store. So go to hornfm.com. Pick one golfer for each group, creating a 9-player roster. Check it out for all the rules there. All right, let's get you this Dylan Mitchell update and an NFL update in the crap bag. Here we go.
Chad's crap bag.
Crap bag. If you need an easy way to remember it, just think of a bag of crap.
All right. It's brought to you by AV Consultations, 255-8678, or go to avconsultations.com. Since I know how you feel about it, Zay, moving the Dylan Mitchell into the crap bag probably makes sense because this is not what you wanted to hear as a Texas basketball fan. Give everybody the update.
I mean, it is, but it isn't.
Right. In a way, it's a good, but there's good and bad to it.
Right.
Yeah.
The good is Dylan Mitchell at the NBA Combine is doing really well and is showcasing a three-point shot that not many people thought he had. Why, Chad? Why didn't they think he had it? Because he didn't take a three all freaking year for the Texas Longhorns 2022-2023 season. So it makes you think.
Now, when you say that, does that anger in your voice go to Rodney Terry for not letting him take it, or does it go to the fact that you just don't think Dylan Mitchell's that kind of player?
A little bit of both. A little
Okay.
bit of both. Like, where was the development here? Because he was still shooting jumpers. And again, there's so much of a difference. Like, you think about Ron Holland not coming to Texas and probably going the pro route, G League or Australia, whatever that may be. He's trying to get paid next year, and he'll be able to focus on just basketball. So when guys are studying for tests and writing papers and in study hall, et cetera, all the other responsibilities that you have to have as a college athlete, this guy will be working on his game. And now that Dylan Mitchell hasn't had to worry about those things, he can work with a specific trainer and get his shot right. So the time that we've seen from the last game of the season where they lost to Miami in the Elite Eight to now, he's been working on that jumper every day instead of having to go to class and do all these other, again, responsibilities that you have to do as a college student. He's just working on his shot. So there's that. And maybe he definitely tweaks some things to where, I guess, if he were to come back, maybe Coach Terry and his coaching staff would be more confident in him shooting jumpers. But clearly that they weren't this past season. And it kind of sucks to hear that he's shooting so well at the combine. Now, a lot of those shots that he's making, it's against Casper. It's against no one. And there's a huge difference than just taking shots outside or in the gym by yourself with having a rebounder than Kawhi Leonard or LeBron James closing out on your jump shot.
Yes.
Big difference.
A little bit of a difference.
Little bit of a difference.
Uh-huh.
So let's put that into account. Remember, his free throw percentage, it was trash this year. Dylan Mitchell was a horrible free throw shooter. I don't even think he was above 50%. I want to say he was in the 40s.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Not 40s, 40s.
The 40s.
That's how bad it was. You got to say it ignorant like that. So I'm glad he's doing well. I hope he gets drafted. I hope he has a very long NBA career. It just hurts to hear that he's showcasing things that we didn't see here at the 40 Acres.
Are you starting to see him in any mock drafts?
A couple.
I know we've seen him on the outskirts of the draft. Are you seeing him creeping into the second round?
I see a couple.
Okay.
Having him late, around in the 50s, and then I see majority of them in the 65s, 70s, which means you're not getting drafted.
Gotcha. Okay. We'll keep our eyes on that story. Again, the draft lottery is tonight, and then it is June 12th, I believe, is the day that a Dylan Mitchell and all those guys have to decide if they're going to come back. If you still have eligibility and you're going to come back, got to do it by June 12th. The draft is June 22nd. All right. Here's an update for you from the NFL, specifically to you older folks. The NFL, for the very first time this season, is going to broadcast a wild card playoff game on a Saturday night stream only.
Oh, stop it.
They're going to put the wild card Saturday night game, Zay, on Peacock this year. That's January 13th. They're going to have – now, if you're in the market of the two teams that are in the game, they'll put that on NBC. So cross your fingers if you end up with one of those teams. It'll also be on NFL Plus. This is reported as a $110 million deal, just all by itself. Just that. Just the deal with Peacock here. They're also going to do a regular season game, Zay, and trap you this way. December 23rd. Buffalo and the Chargers.
Son of a...
On Peacock, ladies and gentlemen. One of our texters says, I'm old like Bucky. I don't Venmo. I don't QR scan. I don't do the app crap. And I surely don't stream. F the NFL.
Yo, Bucky is old as hell. This fool Buck called me today and said he's going to write John Morant a letter for his bad behavior.
Nice. Handwritten? What's wrong with that? Nothing wrong with a handwritten note. It might mean something to Ja. You don't know.
Maybe it'll get to him.
Maybe it will.
Maybe it'll get to him. But yeah, Bucky G, he's old.
So how about this, man?
Yeah, Chad.
A playoff game?
Wow, man, that's where we are.
Oh,
that's where we are.
that hurts.
Streaming, that hurts bad.
It hurts.
Because I don't have Peacock. I have everything else. Got a couple from the families. I'm good with Prime, Hulu, Netflix. Got even Disney. I don't got no Peacock, bro.
Well, by the time we get there, if you have not gotten it figured out, it'll be another reason for you to like my wife, because my wife is the reason it's in my house. So
there we go.
We may need to talk.
See, now my wife, she loves some Office, and she's been hurt that she hasn't been able to watch The Office since Peacock has came about, because it used to be a Netflix show.
That's right.
So
yeah.
I think that's how I'm going to have to do some finesse in there.
My wife went into the Peacock thing because of the Friends reunion.
Oh, man.
That's what got her
That's
stuck.
tough.
Yeah. There's not a more Caucasian reason to sign up for Peacock than that. The Friends reunion.
I think it's on HBO Max. Well, Max, it's going to be called now.
Oh,
but
my
I got
God.
that too. Damn, man.
Oh, I'm telling you, there's so many of them out there, and now you got this at the NFL level. Now this could mean that there's an Amazon Prime. I mean, remember last year was all Thursday night games were Amazon Prime only.
Yeah.
So especially that older fan base had to deal with that. And I admit, I'm kind of on that boundary line. I'm somewhat comfortable with the stream, but I'd rather have it on my regular TV if I had a choice.
And Prime, they figured it out too. Like at the beginning, you were able to record it and come back to it. Then they were like, nah, let's just stop that.
They got rid of it.
They got rid of it.
Only,
so
you could only live stream it.
You could only live stream it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So they're hosing us that way. NFL, come on, y'all.
Yeah, because I'm the old guy that wants to sometimes DVR something.
Yeah, especially if it's like Texans versus the Titans or something, just something trash.
And sometimes it's not even that I'm an hour behind. Sometimes I just want to go back and look at the catch. Can I go back and look and see if y'all got that call right? Please. I want to go back and look and see if it really was roughing the passer. No, Chad, sorry, you can't do that. Well, damn it. I wanted to see that catch. Justin Jefferson's a badass, and he just made another great catch. Can I go watch it, please? No, you can't. Well, that sucks. Come on.
This is tough.
Come on, stream. So there you go. I'm just letting everybody know you got NFL Sunday Ticket moving to YouTube TV, which for some people will make that more convenient. But the idea of a wild card playoff game on stream only just feels weird. Feels really, really weird, especially if you are around my age or older. We are not exactly the streaming people. We would rather do it the old way. And you're going to tell a whole bunch of 55, 65, 70-year-old NFL fans, you've got to have Peacock. Don't you have a Peacock login and password? No, I don't. I got grandkids. And they're sitting on my couch waiting for this game, and now I can't watch it.
Well, NFL Network in itself is tough to like go watch games over there. That's different because a lot of people don't have NFL Network.
That's true. A lot of people don't have it. At least it's on my TV, though.
Yeah, at least on my TV.
I don't have to do the switching around and hit the button. It's first world problems. I get it. But you're hitting the buttons. You got to go over to the stream. And oh, my God. All right, so there you go. There is your crap bag update. I figured that was the appropriate place to put it because I know a lot of you are going to be upset about that one, like one of our texters there saying they don't do all the app crap. I never heard it described that way. All right, coming up, your 1 o'clock hour. Let's talk some NBA draft lottery. Who do you need to know outside of Victor? Zay will talk about some of those guys. Coming up in the flex segment, we got times and dates on those two big baseball series in the area. Plus, obviously, there are other baseball teams that are getting ready. Plus, another big offer for Adrian Wilson. This one may be specifically interesting to Zay, and all you Longhorn fans, pay attention. This is The Horn. All right, let's go hour number 2 on a Tuesday. It is Chad and Zay. We hope you are having a good one. Coming up in about an hour, hoping to visit with Tony Khan of AEW, founder and co-owner. They're bringing AEW to the Moody Center for the first time tomorrow. You've heard Mark Henry on the station talking about it. By the way, tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m., Mark Henry on Coke FM, down the hall with Bob Cole, Eric Rains, and the crew. We don't normally tell you to tune away from our station, but for one of our sister stations, we do. And if Mark Henry and Bob Cole really start talking pro wrestling tomorrow morning, it could be awesome. Awesome. 8:30 in the morning. Check that out. Also, we got a lot of news and notes today. Doc Rivers getting fired in Philly. We also have a couple of Longhorn football updates for you before we dig into some more NBA. If you missed it, we got a kick time in T-Town, ladies and gentlemen. Texas at Alabama. They will kick not at 11 a.m., not at 2:30, 6 p.m. kick, Zay.
Prime time, baby.
Come on now. 6 o'clock, a September kick in Tuscaloosa. That's so cool for any Texas fan that's making that trip. You get a little more of your day to chill, little tailgating. Go hang out with some Bama folks. Big Brand meets Big Brand. Say hi. Only the second time you've ever played them.
Yo, man. Every time I think of this match, I just start shadow boxing.
There you go.
It's just fighting words. This is the start of the season. Oh, yeah, what about Rice? Okay, yeah, we gonna handle them. We ain't worried about them. We gonna handle them.
Yeah. Sorry,
But
second time in Tuscaloosa is what I meant to say. My bad.
Okay, but,
Yeah.
when we go up there to Bama, I expect to whoop some ass, take home some red velvet cake,
Look at you.
and I want to come in here for the post-game show at around 11 p.m., as hype as I've ever been in a very long time.
Ready to get fired up?
I'm ready to get fired up.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
6 o'clock kick for Texas and Alabama. We do not have a 6 o'clock kick right now for Texas and Oklahoma. We know it's going to be on ABC, and they said the time is to be determined.
Oh, man.
We all know when they're kicking that game. We all know. We all know. Because the powers that be are scared to death of the idea of the sun setting on any part of that football game. So they're going to kick it at 11 in the morning. I wish they'd at least go 2:30 for you guys so y'all could get up, enjoy a corn dog at a normal hour. But no, they're so scared. They're so scared. Oh, my God, it's nighttime in Dallas. They're so scared, they're not going to do it.
Yeah, some of y'all never been to South Dallas at nighttime. It's
Man.
gonna be a little different. It get a little different for some of y'all if y'all never been. Somebody like me, that seems like home.
I was going to say,
It's like it's another family reunion.
I have been to that part of Dallas many, many times at night for concerts, and we left, and I made it home safely. And I don't know what all of y'all are freaking out about. I really don't.
I don't know, man.
But, Chad, sometimes people have to park their cars in a driveway, and what if oh, stop it. Just stop it.
It's hard to trust Jerome trying to take 20s from the McDonald's up across the street for you to park. It's hard to trust that.
Trust it in the daytime, but not at night. Is that what it is? The night falls, and all of a sudden Jerome's chopping your car. Is that what you're saying?
Uh-huh. Smoking cools.
Come on now. All right, so those are your updates on Texas football. Texas at Bama, 6 o'clock kick. That's going to be a lot of fun for y'all that get to go. I have not been to Tuscaloosa, but I hear it is quite a show. So that'll be pretty wild to see those two brands getting together. All right, speaking of the brand of the NBA is going to find out tonight where Victor ends up. To the victor goes Victor once they figure out ping pong balls and algorithms and percentages and those big old cards in envelopes. It's going to be Detroit, San Antonio, or Houston if the numbers matter. If the best percentage chance matters, it's one of those three teams that will get Victor Wembanyama. Zay, do you have any kind of gut on this thing? Do you have a hope? Do you have a hope for the team where he ends up?
Yeah, y'all heard my views on the Spurs getting him. I don't think the Spurs did it organically. I think they traded DeJounte Murray because they knew they wanted to tank this year. I thought the Rockets, as bad as they were, they played majority of their main guys most of the season. Kevin Porter Jr., Jabari Smith, Jalen Smith, they played those guys. I mean, Jalen Green, excuse me. They played those guys majority of the year. So they didn't really make any trades to tank. And you look at Detroit, Cade Cunningham got hurt probably 10 games in, missed 90% of the season. So they just got a lot of bad luck. They were supposed to be decent this year with the guys that they brought in, Jaden Ivey and Durant and stuff like that. So if it falls to them, it would make the most sense. And that would make Detroit a very intriguing, kind of scary team, depending on how Cade Cunningham comes off that injury. So
yeah, Victor and Cade.
That's pretty good. So, everybody needs Victor Wembanyama. The question is, whoever gets him, what are the other teams going to do? Because I look at San Antonio, I mean, they would take Scoot Henderson because they would use a point guard. They got Keldon Johnson and Vassell. Both of those guys are wing-type players. I like Trey Jones, but he ain't no franchise point guard. He's a good backup point guard, just like his brother. His brother is the best backup point guard in the league. Trey's going to be just like that, probably majority of his career. So they could use a Scoot Henderson, which Scoot Henderson, people are comparing him. I see Russell Westbrook. I see Derrick Rose. I see Chris Paul type of IQ. If you see Scoot Henderson's built, he is swole as hell. He looks like a football player. He looks like a strong safety, Cam Chancellor type. The guy is huge. He's way more than, I see 195 pounds. He weighs way more than that. He's at least at 210, so maybe at this point.
Okay, so a big physical point guard.
Yeah, physical, super athletic. Obviously, he has to work on his shot a little bit, but if he gets that right, man, Scoot Henderson, that will be a steal because everybody will be looking at Victor Wembanyama.
So for you, after Wembanyama, forget the team discussion for a second. Is there a clear, no doubt about it, second best player for you?
Yeah, I like Scoot Henderson.
You go Henderson.
I go Henderson.
Okay.
And then after that, I would go Amen Thompson, one of the twins. The 6'5", 6'6" point guard that could be really good. We had Keenan Womack on a couple of weeks ago, and he was really high on Amen Thompson. The thing about him is he played in that weird overtime league, which they're 20 years old. They're playing against a lot of 16 and 17-year-olds in that league. So how NBA ready is he right now? It's going to maybe take him a little bit, but his upside, you can't beat that. U of H's Jarrett Walker, he's very interesting because what he did for Kelvin Sampson this year, a little bit of everything. He brought the ball up the court a couple of times. He could shoot from the outside. He is a tweener, kind of like an Eric Gordon, but he has a lot more offensive game than Eric Gordon. He's a little bit less athletic, but he'll step out, knock that jumper down, has a solid post game, and him being 6'7", 6'8", he's a matchup nightmare for certain guys. So I think the NBA game will be really good for Jarrett Walker. Whoever gets him, that will be a good pick. This is a good draft. This is a really good draft. This is a big reason why Dylan Mitchell got pushed back a lot, because before the season even started, college basketball season, G League, overseas, Dylan Mitchell was supposed to be a lottery pick. And we know that he didn't have the season to where a lottery pick should be, but a lot of him getting put back his value was due to a lot of other guys stepping up and showing what they could do, like Cam Whitmore out of Villanova, who's going to go top 10, who's 6'7", and can do multiple things, put the ball on the court. People compare him to Jerry Stackhouse, which is a wild name.
Wow.
Jerry Stackhouse was nice coming out of Carolina playing for Dean Smith. He had a weird free throw routine. That was odd. You remember when he would bend down really low? You were a master. He would drop that ass really low, and then he would come up and shoot it. But Jerry Stackhouse was nice. So if Whitmore could be anything like him, then that's a good steal. But overall, Rockets, San Antonio, Detroit, they're all banking on Wembanyama, and it's going to be interesting, whoever gets him, where the pieces are going to fall. Because even though I'm good on Scoot Henderson being number 2, everybody's kind of indecisive on what comes after that. From Brandon Miller to the Thompsons. There's a UCF guy going around, Taylor Hendricks, that's catching a lot of people's eye. People are very intrigued on multiple guys. It's just that number 2, especially with him coming from G League Ignite, Scoot Henderson, there's still question marks.
Yeah, that was the name I was going to ask you about. Taylor Hendricks, 6'9", forward center out of Central Florida. Not a name I remembered, but in this mock I'm looking at, he's going 4 to Charlotte.
Oof.
Like it's that, highly thought of. So remember the names Scoot Henderson and Brandon Miller right after, because whoever ends up second and third, those are a couple of the guys they're going to be looking at. How does Brandon Miller fit for you in the NBA in general? Forget about a team fit, but in general, how does he fit? And then do you see him working for – I know you said earlier you didn't think he would work in the San Antonio mindset maybe. What about Houston?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'd work in Houston. I mean, him and Jabari Smith are really similar, who they got last year from Auburn. And both of those guys, SEC guys, obviously, but they're very similar where they could put the ball on the deck. They could shoot from the outside. They're really athletic. Sometimes you could orchestrate your offense and run it through them. It's just, do you want to get a lot of those same type of guys, or do you need something different? Are you sure about Kevin Porter Jr.? Because they act like they are, and he shows flashes, but if they got the number 2 pick, I'd take Scoot Henderson. Jalen Green might not be happy. Kevin Porter Jr. might not be happy, but oh well, that's y'all's problem. He's the next best player. We already got somebody like a Jabari Smith. Or we already got Jabari Smith. So Brandon Miller, I don't know if that makes much sense, but it will be very interesting to see what the Rockets do if they don't get the number 1 pick, because I don't know if they're more sold on Smith or Kevin Porter Jr. We know they're sold on Green. They want to keep him. They think he could be a Kobe type. That's who he was getting compared to when he was coming out in the draft a couple of years ago, which he damn sure ain't no Kobe. He might have that athleticism, but he ain't no Kobe. But he has a lot of upside. I would say like a Zach LaVine, who plays for the Chicago Bulls, who came out at UCLA. That's who Jalen Green probably could be, ended up like if he becomes an all-perennial all-star like Zach. But if they're good on Kevin Porter Jr., then they'll probably go the Brandon Miller route and not choose Scoot Henderson. If they're good on Jabari Smith, which I think they are, then they'll probably go with Scoot Henderson.
Okay, so then if you're in the Spurs front office, if you don't get Victor Wembanyama, what's the beginning of Plan B? How does Plan B start for San Antonio?
Scoot.
Okay.
You get Scoot because they don't have a point guard. They don't have a franchise point guard. Like, he's going to be a franchise point guard, a guy you could build your team around. He has a lot of Ja Morant in them without the guns, so you don't got to worry about that.
Without the IG Live?
Yeah, without the IG Live. Has a lot of Russell Westbrook in him without the wardrobe. A
kind of guy whose game will bring fans to the arena?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, something that the Spurs never really seen before. Like, they've never had that flashy, above-the-rim point guard.
Right.
That just hasn't been their way.
Their focus has always started down low.
Yeah, down low.
All the way back to David, yeah.
Yeah, or a really big-time wing, like a Kawhi.
Yeah, that's true. Right. Or you're adding in things. I mean, adding in, Parker and Manu along the way was one thing, but you'd already established who your dog was with Duncan by that time.
Yeah, and when you have a franchise point guard, that's what makes other guys around the league say, okay, I want to go play for that guy.
Yeah. True.
That's what's really important about having a franchise point guard, because it takes off so much pressure for your wings and your big men who don't have to worry about scoring, getting everybody involved, making sure everybody's in the right place when it comes to plays, being the leader of the team. Mm-hmm. You can just focus on what you do best as a wing, and maybe that's scoring, maybe that's getting to the rim, maybe that's defense, etc. But that's how it works in the NBA.
Plus, dude's name is Scoot. Like, who doesn't want to go show up and see that? His name is Scoot.
Yeah,
I've been watching basketball a long time. I don't remember Scoot ever showing up.
He's scary good. He's had some dunks in the G League where it's just like, man, you shouldn't be getting up like that. That doesn't look real. Like Derrick Rose-esque type stuff.
Oh, okay.
Like, he's for real.
Well, you just made the reference to kind of the Ja Morant type. Does it remind you, is it that kind of freaky hops for a guy that size? Does it kind of have a Ja feel to it?
But it's different than Ja, because Ja's a little skinny and light in the ass. Scoot is swole.
So this is a big physical.
Yes.
It's like a even bouncier Russell Westbrook, just physical.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
He's probably just as bouncy as Russell Westbrook, but I don't think he's as fast as Russell.
Okay.
Like Russell from, 94 feet, bottom of the baseline to the other side, I don't think there's been many faster players in the history of the game than Russell Westbrook in his prime. I don't think he's quite that, but he has a lot of that in him.
Gotcha. All right. A lot of good stuff with the NBA tonight. Again, if we to reset it, it's 7 o'clock for the NBA draft lottery. Spurs fans and Rockets fans really feeling good about tonight. Mavs fans like me, 3% is more than 0. So you're telling me there's a chance. We'll be watching too. 7 o'clock ESPN. The winner gets Victor Wembanyama. The others will be dealing with the Brandon Millers, the Scoot Hendersons, and others as the draft hits in June.
You know, Chad, you know who would be a good pick for y'all?
Mavs at 10?
Yeah,
if they end up in that 10
if
area?
they end up in that 10 area, Jordan Hawkins, UConn.
Okay.
Shooter, that'd be a solid pick.
Oh,
That'd
okay.
be a solid pick. I know they're looking for a big man, but there's not many big men in this draft. That would be a solid pick around that area. 'Cause
Okay.
he's a lights out shooter, and the way that Luka gets double teams, and if they bring Kyrie back, all that attention would leave guys open like him, and you can't leave guys open like him.
Plus, it's 2023, and he's a sophomore, so that makes him a super experienced player.
Yeah.
That's a lot of experience right now.
Hey, he won a championship, so the moment ain't gonna be too big for him.
They're going to call him old man. He's a sophomore. Oh, my God. Draft lottery tonight at 7. 7:30, Lakers at Denver. Will the altitude matter in game one? How will Anthony Davis play? Is he ready to roll? What about LeBron and that ankle? And how will Denver look in this game? It's going to be fun to watch that matchup. Game one tonight. We'll keep talking about that. Coming up at 2:05, we're hoping to visit with Tony Khan, founder and owner of AEW, as they get ready for the event tomorrow night. Also, we'll talk a little Jags with him as well, since he's still involved there. How does he find all the time for all this? We're going to find out. And then up next, the Flex segment. 2 big baseball series are set. The 7-on-7 event at Lake Travis. We'll tell you where you can find all that information, plus another big offer for Adrian Wilson. Sark, you want to pay attention to this one. It's the Horn.
Chad and Zay.
A light 80s sax. Oh, there we go. I feel like I ought to know that voice. What's the name of the song?
Take Me to Heart.
Oh, yeah. Take Me to Heart. Hey. Yeah. Quarter Flash?
There we go.
There we go. Yeah. She had a really cool voice. I don't know what her name is in Quarter Flash, but great, cool voice back in the day. All right, Quarter Flash, Eddie Money, and Ozzy getting us started today. Chad and Zay with you on this Tuesday. Draft lottery tonight. Somebody's getting Victor Wembanyama. Real quick, Zay, somebody texted a great question we haven't addressed today, 337-3776. Where do you think Victor wants to go? Somebody texted earlier. What do you think he's thinking?
I would say with his connection to Tony Parker, San Antonio.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like he's got to think Tony Parker's a big deal.
Oh, hell yeah.
So, yeah.
If you're from France and you don't know about Tony Parker, then you're in the wrong sport.
Right.
That's like, he is France basketball.
It's a good point. And therefore, if he's got that respect level for Tony Parker, he probably has it for Pop. And then, like you discussed earlier, and a lot of people have discussed, like, is tonight going to determine how much longer Pop wants to do this? He might argue that point, but deep down, is it going to be one of those where he thinks, man, if I get to coach a kid like this, I'll hang for a little while, see where it goes. And if he doesn't get that kid, does he think, might be about time to exit?
That's what I would do. That's
right?
how I would go about it.
Yeah.
I mean, Tim Duncan, his first year in San Antonio, he was first team All-NBA. His rookie season. First team All-NBA. If you go look at that list, it's like Michael Jordan, Tim Duncan, like Tim Hardaway.
Yeah, LeBron didn't do it.
LeBron didn't do that.
He just had the 19 in a row, but we mentioned it. His rookie year, he didn't make it.
He did not make that list. And then Tim Duncan won a championship the year after. Now, it was the lockout ring, but nobody looks at it as a lockout ring. It's one of the fifth or five championships that they won. So, yeah, if I'm Pop and we get Wemba, I'm sticking around.
Yeah, we'll see. That's going to be a wild night tonight. NBA will turn for one team in a big way tonight with Victor Wembanyama. All right, let's get you a flex segment, a little baseball, a little football, and a big question Zay just brought up with something he sent me on Twitter. Let's go.
Flex ATX for the best high school sports coverage. Listen to the Horn and go to FLXATX.com. Flex 30 is brought to you by Brain Vault. Brain Vault is a revolutionary and patented mouthguard that has been proven to help reduce the risk of concussion. Visit BrainVault.com and join the movement.
Yeah, they do some crazy things in recruiting. We will get to that. But speaking of recruiting, I just want to keep everybody updated on this since we mentioned Adrian Wilson, the talented receiver from Weiss, weeks ago. We started talking about that offer list of his. It continued to grow and it continued to grow. And in the state of Texas, it included UTSA and it included Tech. Recently, it was TCU. We mentioned the Oregon offer. We mentioned Ole Miss. And now, Zay, he's adding a Big 12 offer and an SEC offer. The Big 12 offer is from Kansas. The SEC offer is from Texas A&M. I'm just letting you and all the Longhorn fans and Mr. Sarkisian and the new wide receivers coach know that Adrian Wilson of Weiss has not been offered by Texas, but he has been offered by A&M. So, Adrian, if you're out there, I just need you to know what Zay said the other day is absolutely true. Those early relationships are what matters. That's what matters. It's who loved you first. It's who cared, not who's there at the finish line. It's who was there early on, Zay. That's what really matters.
Yeah, I don't like it. Congrats to the kid, but I don't like it.
You don't think he can make one-handed catches at College Station?
Oh, I definitely think he can make one-handed catches at College Station.
Big
but
time.
I will tell him, look at your quarterback situation.
Oh, how dare you.
And look at the one down here. Sometimes be patient.
It's not a bad argument, actually.
Sometimes you should just be patient and Sark and those guys will come around. Chris Jackson, they'll come to a couple of games this year to check them out, themselves.
Yeah.
Firsthand, because they can do that. They're right up the road. And when that happens, them offers will start coming in.
We will see how the offer list changes. We've said it since the very beginning when we started talking about Adrian Wilson. You see the videos, you see that. It just you could see that talent right away, and now more and more schools are seeing it. Congratulations to Adrian Wilson on those offers, and obviously hope he makes the decision that's right for him. Adrian is a class, and if I'm not mistaken, he's class of 25. So, again, we are still talking about 2 more seasons. Yeah. Class of 25, 2 more seasons of high school football. This is a long way from happening. So just keep that in mind as we talk about Adrian Wilson. But looks like a very talented young man. All right, so we got some other notes for you here in the Flex. Westlake Spring Game Thursday at 5 if you want to go check that out. Other spring games happening this week, and you can check those out. FLX ATX on socials. The baseball series, that San Antonio Johnson team that took Zay's Bowie Bulldogs out, they're taking on Lake Travis in the next round. Game 1 Thursday at 7 at Concordia. If you're a Westlake or Round Rock fan, that matchup is happening. Dragons and Shaps, and the Dragons get a first chance at home Thursday, 7:30 at Round Rock. They'll turn around Friday and do it at Westlake. If they need to, they'll go to Concordia on Saturday. You can check out all those schedules at FLX ATX on your social media. And if you want to get super nerdy, 7-on-7s get cranked up this weekend over at Lake Travis, Zay, for those people that want to go check out a little 7-on-7. I did this for the first time last year. It was a lot of fun to check out some of the skill talent with 7-on-7s. I'm going to double-check the schedule, and I might be able to get over there Saturday morning. If you go to flexatx.com, flexatx.com, you can see the full schedule. Game 1's at 8:30, Game 2's at 9:15, Game 3's at 10 o'clock, and then they go into the semifinals and the championship. It's a lot of fun, and you're pretty much clear by noon. You get out there nice and early when it's cool. You're pretty much clear by noon or 1, somewhere in there, and Lake Travis, Westlake, Bastrop, Vandergrift, San Marcos, Bowie, Dripping Springs, just to name a few, are there. Hutto's there. A lot of good teams showing up.
Yeah, we all know 7-on-7 is the new wave. It's how these quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs, kind of how they build the chemistry before the real season starts. And yeah, you also build that camaraderie off the field because you're competing with guys that you're going to be competing with when the fall comes around. So it's just a different type of friendship that they get. And yeah, it's becoming more and more popular with these tournaments.
Yeah, it really is. A lot of fun to watch if you want to go check that out. If you don't remember last year, just to give you the perspective, last year, the 7-on-7 winner for the whole state ended up being DeSoto. The Jonte Cook, Wisner, that group, that team is who won it all.
Makes sense.
Yep. There you go. And Jonte Cook made the last catch to win the championship. Yeah.
He's all right.
He kind of wanted the ball. Did a good job. All right, so flex segment, we do it every day at 1:30, and let's link this up to recruiting because schools will do a lot of things to impress recruits. And Zay, we're seeing it so much more now than when I was growing up. Even when we saw the social media era begin, kids go to these schools on visits. It's not just visit anymore. It's not just, let's have the announcer give them the love. Like I started watching Blue Chips last night. It's not just that. It's not just, and now starting for the Texas Longhorns. It's not just that. Now you put them in full gear and they take pictures and they send it out on social media. But you just sent me something that is a wild idea from a big blue blood in college football, and we'll have Longhorn fans go check this out. I'll retweet it and see what they think about it. But you tell everybody what this is, and then we'll talk about it.
Yeah, Georgia, on their visits, they are putting their recruits in an alternate, different helmet than the classic red that they normally rock. It is a all-white helmet with a red stripe on one side in the middle of the helmet and a black stripe on the other side in the middle of the helmet. And not going to lie, Chad, with the white on white, this is absolutely fire.
You like it?
Now, I'm a little biased because these are Bowie colors. So I've always loved Bowie colors, the black, red, the white. Same with the Chicago Bulls. Like Michael Jordan made those colors really famous,
Mhm.
especially with all the kicks you could wear with that, like the Jordans and stuff like that. They were always Jordan colored because they were Bulls colors. So it fit. So whenever you see Jays come out, most likely they're Bulls colors and it just looks better. And that's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of just absolute heat. Like
Okay.
if Georgia did this, that I'll be very impressed.
As a Longhorn fan, does it make you think another big blue blood is trying to take your whole white helmet vibe?
No,
Because y'all are one of the few blue bloods of college football that have a white helmet.
no,
And y'all are, I mean, that's part of your trademark.
yeah.
Okay.
No, I don't think so. This is very different.
So for you, I'll just keep going back to it because, I love to ask these type of questions. For you as a Texas fan, would you take that idea and use it as your own? Black, burnt orange,
No,
gray.
no.
You guys are at white right now, so you'd have to go to another color. Is it still a no?
No.
Okay. Now, remember, Georgia has actually messed around in the past with a couple of things. They had a god-awful silver helmet one time a few years
Really?
ago. It was wretched. It was one of the worst things I've ever seen.
That they played it?
Oh, yeah, in a game, in a bowl, I think. And I screamed and yelled at him, "You're Georgia. What the hell are you doing? Why would you wear those hats?" Here's what I'll say about that. I think it's okay for Georgia to wear that on two conditions. One, because you still got the G on there. They didn't go too crazy. They didn't put like an alternate bulldog or something. The only circumstance, though, they're allowed to wear a helmet like that is against a lesser team. You cannot wear that helmet against certain teams. Can't wear it in a cocktail party. You can't wear it to play Tennessee. You certainly couldn't wear it to play Bama. Non-con, bad team. I'll let you do it. You play Chattanooga, wear whatever you want. I don't care.
What about Vanderbilt?
I'll let you do it against Vandy. Yes.
Right.
Because with all due respect, that's a lesser team, even in the SEC. Play Vandy, play Missouri, do whatever you want.
What about Kentucky?
Yes, I'll put Kentucky on that side too.
Okay.
They're on that side of the boundary line. Kentucky, because Kentucky goes with a lot of weird stuff, chrome face masks and bright blues.
Oh, they're a
and-
basketball school. They'll do whatever.
Yeah, do whatever.
It doesn't
Right.
matter.
Yes, you can do it against Kentucky, but don't go messing don't do that. Like when they play Texas, don't you dare.
Nah.
Don't you dare think about it when you're playing a team that's also got a brand status.
And then they won't do it. I mean, I'm looking at the gray helmets that you're talking about. Very suspect. Bad move by them. But they
Those
do
things
go,
are ugly, man.
Yeah.
Didn't like those at all. And they put a stupid stripe in the middle.
Yes,
Are you
that's
seeing
the
how
worst
thick that
part.
stripe was in the middle?
Yeah, that's the worst part.
You brought up the best part of this helmet, too. That black, white, red, or sorry, from the front of the helmet, red, white, and black stripe over the top. That's what makes it look clean and badass. That's the well done part of that. And that's what made the Georgia people think, oh, maybe let's show this to a recruit, see what they think.
Well, I haven't seen a black helmet for Georgia. They do rock the black uniform every once in a while, which I like.
Yeah,
Now,
but the black uni and leaving the red helmet looks so good.
it looks really good.
yeah,
With the gray pants, it looks good.
Yeah, that I
like
wouldn't
that
mess with.
look.
I wouldn't mess with that.
But yeah, I'm with you. Just in big games, don't rock it. You can rock it in lesser games, and yeah, never black with the Texas Longhorns ever.
Certain teams just going to leave it alone. We all know the ultimates have become Texas and to a lesser degree K-State over the years. They just don't. They're not messing. They're not doing it. We've seen Georgia with the one we were talking about with the silver. We've seen Nebraska mess around. We've seen Ohio State mess around. Michigan's kept it pretty solid. They've done a couple things, but they really don't mess with that helmet much at all.
Nah.
It's not like Michigan's rolling out there in a yellow helmet or a white helmet or something like that. Texas, Michigan, K-State, they've all kept to this. K-State went white, though, a couple years ago. Remember that? With
All white?
It was either early in the climate or late in Bill Snyder. They rolled a white helmet with the purple cat on it.
What?
I've seen it. Yes, they've done it in the last few years. It actually looked pretty sharp.
Yeah, K-State, they have no. That does look clean.
Yeah.
I see the Deuce Vaughn 22 on it.
And they're not a legendary blue blood, so they can mess around a little bit, but they don't like to. Bill Snyder really made them into, no, this is what we wear.
Well, when you have TCU in your conference with similar colors and all the crazy stuff they do with their red, throwing it in with the purple, and they'll
Yeah.
go black. Like TCU has a lot of different uniforms. it could allow Kansas State not to go a little crazy,
By the way, did you see the rollout Oklahoma State did the other day with the stuff they're going to do this year?
No.
Once again, knocked it out of the park. They're one of my favorite changeling teams. They never seem to go 2 weeks in a row doing the same thing, but they're nailing it again, man. The great combos. Everything looks right. All the little details. The script cowboy on one. We got Pistol Pete on another.
Yeah, I like those.
Sometimes it's orange, and sometimes it's black, and sometimes it's white, and sometimes there's a sheriff's badge. But it always looks great. They get it every time. Go check out this Georgia thing. Zay is at ain'tthat_Zay. I'm at CHastings1049, and we both tweeted that out there to get your thoughts on it. A white Georgia helmet that they are throwing on the recruits. Would they dare wear it in a game?
Now you know which team that will never do this, but they need to look into it. A lot like Texas, never wearing black. Michigan going all yellow.
Oh, good grief. What?
with the same helmet, but all yellow jersey.
Oh,
yellow
you're saying
shorts.
leave the helmet alone.
Leave the helmet alone.
Okay.
Leave the helmet alone. Just we play Purdue. We'll rock it.
You want me to go like an Oregon look?
Not
Yellow
Oregon.
on yellow?
It's yellow on yellow with the blue. The blue will still be showing. Make sure blue numbers.
Okay. But maize on the jersey and the pants. Is that what you're saying?
Maybe blue pants. The
There
yellow on
you-
yellow might be too much.
There you
Maybe
go.
blue pants.
Now I can draw you back into the old school vibe. That's all. I have no problem with crazy bright jerseys. Just you don't need the pants too. You don't. It's not. You don't have to do it.
Because their rival, Ohio State, when they go black, that's a clean look.
It does look pretty sharp.
It looks sharp as hell. They'll always do it against an Indiana or a Rutgers or something like that.
Yeah, like they should.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do that good.
But
They-
it's fire.
They should never do it against Michigan. But yeah, that's the. And then I don't love that idea. If I was an Ohio State fan, I'd be a little, stuffy and say, "No, man,
See, that's why you ain't got no style now.
we wear." Thank you. We wear a silver helmet. That is what we do. We're Ohio State. But no, they'll change it a little bit too. All right, there's some thoughts for you in this flex segment and a little bit of that recruiting angle with Georgia. Interesting stuff there. All right, where are we at in society? Coming up with Zay, and then at 2:05, Tony Khan of AEW to talk about the event coming to the Moody Center tomorrow. Maybe a little Jags question mixed in there as well. How does he find time to do it all? Tony Khan will try to explain it to us a little later on the Horn. All right, this is Chad. Let's talk sinus and snoring specialists. Get that sleep you deserve. Get that rest you deserve, and just start breathing better with sinus and snoring specialists. Dr. Slaughter has over 20 years of experience in ear, nose, and throat. He's double board certified, so there are surgical and non-surgical options that nobody else has. For me, it was moderate obstructed sleep apnea. I had the balloon sinuplasty procedure. There were some other things they did, like getting rid of my allergies for good. That's an important part of it. They got to figure out why you're snoring. If you're snoring, if that's your issue, they're going to try to find out why that's happening and then deal with it from there. You can live in the Austin area without allergies. The initial exam for me took less than an hour, and like I always tell you, Dr. Slaughter does keep those appointment times, respects those appointment times because he knows how valuable your time is. They work with most insurance, and the allergy testing is done without needles. I love the way I was treated back in 2017, and I'm so glad I went in there. You'll be glad too. Call and set up an appointment, 512-601-0303, or go to sinussnoringent.com. It's Sinus and Snoring Specialist. Feel clear, rested, and healthy.
Chad and Zay.
It's a great song. That's good stuff. All right. I think I think this is one of the two big dogs. So let me see. Temptations.
Nope.
Damn
Close.
Four Tops?
Nope.
Those are my two guesses. What do you got?
The Spinners.
Dadgummit. Okay, it wasn't one of the two I was thinking of. The Spinners. It's a great song. Great song. That is the type of act I've never listened to an entire album. I've never heard an entire album of Temps, Tops, Spinners, Coasters, the whole, that kind of genre of, what would you call that? Like what do they call them? Just that.
Like Motown era.
Kind of that Motown group.
Soul era.
Ensemble. Yeah, that soul group, the really cool stuff. I've never heard a whole album of it, though. I always hear the songs here and there. I've never sat down for the whole record. It's great stuff, though. That's an all-timer right there.
That's a jam.
That one just lives really well, even in 2023. The Spinners, Quarter Flash, Eddie Money, and Ozzy have been on the show today. Somebody texted when you played Quarter Flash and just typed Q Flash. That was it. Big Quarter Flash fan out there. All right. Very cool. All right. We hope you are having a good Tuesday. Tony Khan, founder and co-owner of AEW, coming up at 2:05. I'm going to try not to nerd out too much with crazy wrestling questions, but we want to talk to him about coming to the Moody Center and how excited they are, with AEW right now. I also want to ask him about Mark Henry, because now Mark Henry is associated with AEW. We talked to Mark last week, and Mark's got the big event coming up this week. I want to find out, when did Tony Khan meet Mark Henry? What was that like? When did that relationship start? And love to get his thoughts on Mark coming up. All right, right now, though, let's get you where we're at in society. Zay's got something to talk about. Here we go.
Where are we at in society today?
All right, Zay, you just hit me with a white Georgia helmet. Where could you possibly go after that?
Yeah, more ignorance for where we at today.
Oh,
well, one side ignorance, the other trying to find peace and love.
Okay.
Former Steelers running back Le'Veon Bell went on the podcast and suggested that he wants to box against former Bengals linebacker Vontaze Burfict. We all know Vontaze Burfict has become famous for his illegal hits during his time with the Bengals, most famously known for knocking out Antonio Brown, and a lot of people say that Vontaze is the reason why Antonio Brown is crazy now from that hit.
Yeah.
And I guess he hit Le'Veon Bell hard back during those playing days, too, because...
There's not a Steeler walking back in those days he didn't hit hard.
Okay, well...
But I didn't realize there was one,
Yeah, well, Le'Veon clearly wants to fight, while Vontaze says he is a changed man, so he wants to take a different approach.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote back to Le'Veon Bell, "Why we looking to fight? Why not show everyone we, all caps, can change the narrative? Let's show the world we can squash the beef in other ways than boxing. Let's meet and compete on the golf course, get some charities involved so we can help people in need and show kids that we resolved our differences to make the world a better place."
I'm glad Vontaze Burfict found a caps lock key. I mean, that's exciting, right? Lots of we. What?
Yeah, I don't know why he did that. I don't know why he cap locked. There were 3 different we's in there, and he put all 3 in all caps.
I don't know if this is going to happen to me at some point. Old people just love to yell on social media. Even when they're not yelling, they love to do it. Capital letters, exclamation points, everywhere.
I don't think they get it.
I don't either. One of these days, I'm just going to sit my mom down and try to explain it to her. She sends me these yelling texts. I know that's not what she means. So glad to hear y'all had a great weekend. Why are you yelling at me?
My pops would do that every once in a while. I'm like, "Pops, this and that." And he'll reply, "I know."
Right.
I'm like, "All right, yeah,
okay.
Cool. All right, yeah."
Calm down.
Yeah, that's
okay.
Just some old head stuff.
If this was a more, how do I say this? If this was a Steeler that Steeler fans embraced more, they might actually pay for that pay-per-view if it was a fight. because they'd like to see somebody get a little revenge on Burfict, but it wouldn't be Antonio Brown because they don't connect with him anymore. And I don't really think they connect with Le'Veon Bell anymore because of the way he treated him. So now if this was like Polamalu fighting Burfict, I think Steelers fans would come out of the woodworks to pay for that.
Yeah, they'd be with that. Joey Porter, I could see doing it.
James Harrison.
Oh,
now
man.
that would be the one. Can we get James Harrison and Vontaze Burfict to wrestle or fight or anything physical?
Hines Ward, he was dirty.
Hines, yeah. I don't know if any of those guys actually should be fighting right now. Vontaze is probably right to bring up golf. Let's just calm down.
But look at him. Changed man. He's not that angry guy that he once was. He got fined a lot of money. And he's trying to say, you know what, instead of boxing, let's show these kids that we could be responsible adults and get over beef and do something for charity on the golf course.
I like it. Here's what they need to do. They need to get a whole bunch of the villains together and have a villains golf event. They need to get James Harrison. They need to get Joey Porter, especially since his son just got drafted by the Steelers. And then get Bengals on one side, Steelers on the other side, call up the Ravens and see if they're interested. Do like see if Ray Lewis wants to show up and just do a big villain golf outing.
Ray Lewis ain't no villain.
Can't we all just get along?
I mean, he might have killed somebody, but he ain't no villain.
Did you just say Ray Lewis is not a villain?
Ray Lewis
How
is
dare
like
you?
beloved in the NFL. That's not in our AFC North.
He's beloved by Baltimore people, yeah. You try to say Ray Lewis's name around my wife and tell me if he's a villain or not.
That's not part of the AFC North. I had to correct myself. That's not a Bengals or Steelers fan or Browns fan.
Outside of that division.
Outside of that division, everybody kind of loves Ray Lewis.
I'm going to guess Patriots fans don't. I'm just going to guess. I'm guessing. I'm just guessing
He
there.
made life rough for him a little bit.
But I would love to see. I would pay a little money on pay-per-view and help raise some money if Vontaze Burfict and James Harrison did anything. Anything. Just let the two of them talk, fight, throw stuff, play darts. I don't care.
Dominoes.
Those guys, man, when they were in that run, they were two of the best villains out there, and probably villainized sometimes unnecessarily, and sometimes it was necessary, or unwarranted. Sometimes it was warranted.
Who's the all-time Cowboys villain?
The all-time Cowboys villain. Wow. If you're not a Cowboys fan, let me know. But is it Irvin? I mean, you're saying all positions are on the board?
He would be, I guess, the most obnoxious during the runs when they were winning.
My guess would be Michael Irvin. I can't think of anybody on defense. Like way back in the day, was it maybe Hollywood Henderson for some people?
Okay.
Because he was really flashy and good. Those are my two guesses. Y'all let me know. If you're not a Cowboys fan, who do you consider the all-time Cowboys? Greg Hardy. All right. All right. Game over. Fair enough.
Oh,
he was a Cowboy for 12 seconds. Okay. Nate Newton. Nate Newton's not a villain. What are you talking about?
Nate Newton was tough.
Somebody texted me in all capital letters, "I'm not yelling, Chad!" Exclamation points. Okay. Sorry.
My dad just texted me, "Stop." All caps.
Oh, that's awesome. Shout out to CC and his caps lock.
Coach.
I need to get CC to talk to Sylvia about calming hers down. Sylvia yells at you on the text, man. Lets everybody know how happy she is. All right, coming up, your 2 o'clock hour starts with Tony Khan of AEW. We'll talk about the event coming to town tomorrow, the big event coming to Wembley Stadium, and the growth of AEW. Don't move. It's The Horn.
Chad and Zay.
All right, let's get going with hour number 3. It's Chad and Zay. I'm Chad Hastings. He is Isaiah Collier, picking out a beat to start every third hour. What do we got, Zay?
Silk the Shaka. It ain't my fault.
Silk the Shaka?
Silk the Shaka. Masterpiece, brother.
Okay. I like it. What's it called?
It ain't my fault.
It ain't my fault. All right.
Yeah, I do that.
Silk the Shaka getting us started this hour. All right, a lot of stuff going on. We talked NBA, draft lottery, and the Western Conference Finals start tonight. Doc Rivers lost his job today in Philly. Will he get a chance somewhere else, and who fills that role? And we've also discussed that Dylan Mitchell update. Actually looking pretty good in those combine workouts, getting some three-pointers up and in and impressing a few folks. We've also got a big event coming to town tomorrow night. We've been letting you know about it. AEW Dynamite and Rampage hitting the Moody Center for the first time. If you want tickets, go to hornfm.com. Let's go to the Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina hotline. And look at here, kids. We're talking to Tony Khan, founder and co-owner of AEW. Tony, we appreciate the time. I know you're busy this week and every week. How are you, sir?
I'm very well. Thanks for having me on, Chad, and thanks for having me on today.
Man, we are honored to talk to you. I am now a mark for AEW. I've been a pro wrestling fan a long time. Buddy of mine got me into it a while ago, and I am in. I was there in Cedar Park for the last event. I'm going to be at the Moody Center tomorrow night. Really have enjoyed watching AEW develop. How big is it for you? I know this is the dream ultimately, to get into the biggest venues in all these towns. How cool is it for you guys to be at the Moody Center tomorrow night, and have you had a chance to go scope it out yet?
It's so awesome, Chad, that we're going to be at the Moody Center tomorrow night for Wednesday Night Dynamite. The show is going to be live from Austin on TBS nationwide, and it's going to be on worldwide in over 150 countries. It starts tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, and we would love to have as many of you as possible there. I'm so excited you're going to be there. I'm actually still with my family back in Illinois from Mother's Day, and I'm heading in tonight. But I went back after the AEW House Rules tour this past weekend, and we did Dynamite and a couple of big events, and then I went home Sunday for Mother's Day, and I'm flying into Austin tonight, and I'll be at the Moody Center all day tomorrow, and I'm very excited about the new facility and very excited about AEW on the campus of the University of Texas, and now hopefully a lot of people now after graduation with a little bit of more time on their hands to come and check out the great event. I'm very excited you're going to be there, and it sounds like there's a lot of great wrestling fans in Austin lined up to come. You know, I know when we've done the shows in Cedar Park, we've had really, really great experiences. We've had great fans and just really, really good shows, I think, there. And I very fully expect we're going to translate that over to the Moody Center, and I expect a great show tomorrow night on Wednesday Night Dynamite in Austin.
Yep.
You know, Tony, y'all have done such a great job with AEW, and, you know, you've been around different businesses with your pops and whatnot. And, you know, obviously you're a huge wrestling fan. When did that start? When did it kind of, you know, you were just kind of fishing around ideas about, man, we can maybe have another professional wrestling league that could compete with WWE and then some. When did that day start for you at the beginning?
Well, I was a wrestling fan from a very young age, and it was actually inconceivable to me that there would be another challenger wrestling promotion when I was a kid, because there were strong challenger brands then. I think really you had WCW was what we would call in business a challenger brand, and ECW was a very strong niche brand. And for a long time after those companies went out of business, there wasn't anything that represented a true challenger brand in the sport. I've been a fan since probably, I would say 1990, since I was 7 years old. And I've been writing a show called Dynamite. It was on different nights of the week. Now it's really on in real life every Wednesday night on TBS, including tomorrow night there in Austin. And it's pretty amazing how quickly the company's grown. But I would say I first started thinking about it in 2018, honestly. I hadn't had thoughts of really getting into the business and competing. And in 2018, it was clear that there was a lot of interest in the TV industry, there would be a lot of opportunities to launch a new promotion. And there were, most importantly, first of all, a lot of great fans interested in pro wrestling and a lot of the top wrestlers who were out of contract who would make for a great wrestling promotion. And it's helped us launch this really successful challenger brand in AEW, and very excited to be bringing it to Austin for the first time ever at the Moody Center tomorrow night live.
It's going to be incredible. Tony Khan joining us here on the Horn. By the way, at Tony Khan, Khan, if you want to give him a follow on Twitter. Tony, we had Mark Henry on the other day. He's going on some of our different stations to promote the event. Obviously has the big connections here in town. Mark's one of my favorite guys. Talk to me about your relationship with Mark Henry. When did you meet the world's strongest man, and how has he fit into the AEW world?
I have so much respect for Mark Henry. I first met the world's strongest man a few years back, and he reached out with a real interest in getting involved in AEW in a big way. And I think he does so much behind the scenes. He's a great mentor, and he does great work in the community. And certainly around Austin, he's a legend. He's a legendary athlete, and he's a legendary presence. And Mark Henry is just such an impressive and awesome person. And certainly he brings a lot to AEW. And I really appreciate when he goes out and promotes the big events like for tomorrow night at the Moody Center.
Yeah, Mark's a great guy. You know, Tony, when I think about y'all and how y'all promote just y'all's brand, and I think about y'all's relationship with Turner Sports, that's a ideal relationship, because you see what they do with Inside the NBA with Barkley and Kenny Smith and Shaq, and how good of a show that is. What was those conversations like, negotiations, when you came with this idea and you brought it to Turner?
Well, it was actually in 2018. My first conversation was with Kevin Riley, who was at the time the president of TBS and TNT. I talked to Kevin Riley at a cocktail party and brought it up to him. He's a friend of mine. And I suggested in April of 2018 that I think there's a real opportunity. It was just over 5 years ago. It's crazy how time has flown. And I told him I thought we could start a wrestling promotion. I'd be happy to run it and launch it. And if they would give us the opportunity to run the shows on TBS and TNT, I felt like we could deliver great ratings and build a great audience, and it's all happened. And now we have a great brand, great touring with live events, and our biggest TV show, our flagship event, is coming there to Austin tomorrow night. It's going to be a great show, and anybody listening, there's still great tickets available at the Moody Center, and you can go to AEWTix.com or listen here on the show for more information. I think it's a great, great, great way for a family to get out. I know some of my best memories are from my dad taking me to the wrestling shows, although admittedly I was a big fan. He was not. I twisted his arm. I've never been able to get my dad to really love wrestling as much as I tried until we launched AEW, and now I've been able to make a real fan of it. But it's a great experience as a live show, and I think anybody who has seen it before would attest to that, and certainly I expect we'll have a great.
Tony, one of the things that I've been so impressed about, you just mentioned, families coming out and the event tomorrow night. I've seen some really affordable ticket prices, and that's obviously great. But also, I would argue people are absolutely going to get their money's worth. If you're a pro wrestling fan and you love matches, you're going to get matches. When I started watching AEW and I noticed, wait a minute, those two are already in the ring and the match is going. Wait, one of them's already there, and you can feel the speed and the pace. Is that something that you designed early on? Is that something that kind of came along at the beginning? How did that come about? Because I think it's one of the kind of signatures of what AEW does.
Well, I really believe that a wrestling show is about the great wrestling matches as much as the story and any other element. And I think what we do is we have great athletes and some of the best interviews in all of wrestling. So we've got some great rivalries. And tomorrow night, you're going to see some really great action. Chris Jericho is in a Falls Count Anywhere match taking on Roderick Strong. It's Roderick Strong's first ever singles match in AEW since he arrived. And this is something I'm really looking forward to seeing in person. I'm looking forward to seeing Ricky Starks, who's made Austin his home, taking on Jay White, who is a great free agent signing for AEW, and this is the biggest match he's been in. And I think for Ricky Starks, it's also one of his biggest matches. And Ricky Starks is a great star in AEW. Very excited for that match. And also, so much up and down the card. Great matches. And in addition to what we'll be shooting for AEW, we'll also film AEW Rampage there in Austin. So you're really getting 2 shows for your money's worth. And I think, like you said, the pace of the show is something we felt strongly about from the very beginning, that every Wednesday we need to make this show something people cannot miss, make it something that they build their day around, build their night around. And I think it's helped us build this worldwide audience, and I expect we'll have a really great support from you and all the live fans in Austin tomorrow, because whenever we've done the shows in that area, when we've come to Cedar Park, and I've always said it's some of the best fans and some of the best shows we've done.
Talking with Tony Khan, founder and co-owner of AEW Dynamite Rampage, hitting Moody Center tomorrow. And like Tony said, AEWTix.com, or you can go to hornfm.com and get a link through that way to get tickets for the event tomorrow night. Tony, I feel like other fans might want me to ask, do we have any update on any appearance from one of my favorite heels of all time, MJF? Any appearance tomorrow? Do we know or not?
Well, MJF's going to be in Austin, and I think I fully expect that he may make his presence felt. But as we build up to this match between the pillars of AEW, I do think he will be there, and I'm sure we'll hear from MJF, and I think all the pillars will make their presence felt on this episode of Dynamite.
Very nice. All right. Again, AEW, the event coming tomorrow night. Zay, you wanted to throw in a quick football question here?
Yeah, I do. Tony, man, I see that you're the chief football strategy officer for the Jacksonville Jaguars. What's your responsibility for the Jags, and how excited are you for the upcoming 2023 season?
Well, Zay, I'm in charge of football stats and analytics for the Jaguars. So I was just working with our great team, preparing information for our general manager, Trent Baalke, our coach, Doug Peterson, in the NFL draft. And I'm sitting with Doug and Trent in the draft and talking effectively strategy and ideas in the draft market. And then during the regular season, I put together information week to week on our games for Doug and Trent, and particularly for Doug and his staff as they look to scout their opponents, our opponents. And I think for the Jaguars, also something I've done and really enjoy doing over the years is working on the undrafted free agency. There's a lot of good players in the NFL that I've signed over the years for just a few $1,000s on the guarantee effectively, and all of them came in and proved themselves as great players in the NFL. And I think the undrafted market is a great place to use the stats and analytics to try to find undervalued stars. So that's something I've done for the Jaguars in addition to all I'm doing at AEW every week.
Where do you find the time, Tony Khan?
Seriously?
My goodness. What does your schedule look like every day? My goodness. That's incredible.
Well, different every day, right? A Sunday with an NFL game is very different than Wednesday tomorrow night at the Moody Center for AEW Dynamite.
Yeah. Well, and you may be the only person that has Trevor Lawrence and Orange Cassidy on your phone. I mean, that's something, right? That's cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. Well, they're both great guys and both doing great, and they're both great for their respective franchises they play for.
Yeah.
And compete for.
No doubt. No doubt. One other wrestling question from me, because I really enjoy Dynamite. I've enjoyed Rampage, but I really also like this All Access show. I feel like it's something we haven't seen in pro wrestling, the idea of having a reality show that really does show you some behind-the-scenes stuff and backstage and all that. Where did the All Access idea come from? Did that come from you as well? And how has it been received so far?
Well, I think it's been really positively received. It came from a group of us brainstorming with the network executives at TBS, and they were looking for a great program to put on after Wednesday Night Dynamite. And tomorrow night actually will be the first time we haven't had All Access in a while. We've had All Access airing after Dynamite, and we just had the final episode of that. And I am optimistic it could be back because I think it did really well. And there's been really great engagement from the fans who seem to really enjoy it. And I think everyone who worked on it did a really great job. And I'm very, very excited whenever I hear feedback like that, man. So thank you. It's a great show, and I think the people at the network and the reality executives and everyone who participated in the show did a really great job.
Yeah, you turned Adam Cole and Britt Baker into my favorite couple on television. That's what you did with the All Access show. I'm now locked in. A buddy of mine who's a big wrestling fan said Adam Cole is the nicest guy he's ever interviewed in wrestling. Can you confirm that Adam Cole is indeed a nice guy?
I can confirm he's one of the nicest people I've ever met, and he deserves all of his success. I'm a huge fan of Adam Cole. He is really one of the nicest people I've ever met. I think it's very true, and it's one of the reasons why people really root for Adam Cole, and he's got this great fan support all over the world.
Yeah, it really does. Great fan interaction at these events, too, with the entrance music and a lot of different angles from Cole to the Chris Jericho reaction to just the connection with the fans is so amazing. Tony, this thing, it got rolling in 2019. Obviously, the pandemic was in there, so it's not a full maybe true 3 to 4 years or whatever that would be, but have you been impressed with that part of it? The fan connection with your product feels wonderfully, organically real. Are you enjoying that part of it?
Absolutely, Chad. I think it's one of the greatest things we have in AEW. Probably the single greatest thing is the great connection we have with our fans. The fans at the show are a huge part of the experience. So to anybody there around Austin, anybody listening to this, you have a great chance to get in on it and be part of the team tomorrow night at AEW Wednesday Night Dynamite at the Moody Center. It's a really important show for us. It's one of the most important shows we've ever done. We have a major announcement coming tomorrow about AEW, and I'm really excited about it. It's going to be a big day for the company, and I would love for everyone to come out. Like you said, Chad, the tickets are very affordable. It's a great, great show, and I promise you'll definitely get your money's worth, and you're going to want to come back in the future. And I'm really excited about AEW tomorrow at the Moody Center.
There we go.
Tony, before we let you go, when y'all caught my eye is when y'all got one of my favorite rappers, Rick Ross, talking about accusations, going crazy. That's some of the most amazing TV I've ever seen. What's that been like, getting rappers to come along with the business like Rick Ross and such?
Rick Ross, tremendous talent. I'm very excited that Rick Ross has taken an interest in AEW, and Rick Ross is a great person. He's really been very kind to me personally, and he's been a great friend to AEW. So we love when he comes to the shows and gets involved. And you never know when the biggest boss, Rick Ross, is going to show up in AEW. It could happen at any time. So that's one of the great things about the show that we have going for us. And, it's one of the reasons why I love the show every week. People never know what to expect, and you never know who's going to show up. Yeah. So Rick Ross was one of our best cameos of all time, but I think he could be more than a cameo. I think he could certainly be involved more often. I would love for that to happen. And, I have to say, the show we're doing tomorrow, I just, as a wrestling fan, I know sometimes people come to the shows and they think, is this going to be the real TV show? And they get there and it's effectively a house show, which are great too. But sometimes people expect they're going to get the big TV presentation and all the bells and whistles, and they find out it's not a televised event. That's not what's going to happen tomorrow at the Moody Center. This is the real deal. This is Wednesday Night Dynamite. It's live on TBS. It's live all over the world. The show's on in 150 different countries, and it's going to be a big event tomorrow when we bring Wednesday Night Dynamite to the Moody Center.
It is going to be a lot of fun. That's Tony Khan, founder and co-owner of AEW. Again, at Tony Khan on Twitter. If you want to give him a follow, go to AEWTix.com for tickets or HornFM.com. You can get tickets there as well. Tony, we know you're a busy man. Thank you so much for the time. Safe travels to and from Austin. Best of luck with everything. I know the Wembley Stadium thing's coming up later this year now and all that. Best of luck with everything AEW. Can't wait for tomorrow night, man.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. See you tomorrow night at the Moody Center at AEW.
There it is.
Thanks, Tony.
Tony Khan, ladies and gentlemen, the man behind AEW. He had me at Chris Jericho Falls Count Anywhere.
Yo.
When they announced that one, I guess it was a couple shows ago when they laid that one out. Heard that one last week. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Chris Jericho fighting all over the Moody Center. Let's do it.
So dope.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun.
Great guy.
Yeah, it was really
down to earth.
Yeah, real down to earth guy and a big wrestling fan. So there you go, Tony Khan with taking some time for us today.
You never know when somebody has big time money like that, how they're gonna act. If they're down to earth or not, or if their nose are up in the air, and you could tell that's a down to earth guy.
Yeah, and also I guess being in that world too. When you're in the world of pro wrestling, you have got to be flexible.
Yeah.
Things are going to change on a dime. And the thing I loved about that All Access show, I hope they bring it back, but they're showing him like sitting there with the headset on, orchestrating things. I hope they take the next step and show us like creative meetings. I know that might be a little too inside baseball, but I'd love to see it. I'd love to see two wrestlers literally talking about what they're going to do, like talking about the construction of a match and how it might play out. That might be a little too far.
That's a lot.
Right. That might be a little too far, but
it's like one of those, you get the footage of them doing that, and it comes out like 10 years later when you're doing a documentary.
Exactly. Yeah. But one of the things they show on All Access I like, they will show that like there's a few couples they deal with, and you'll get to watch like the husband watching the wife's match on a monitor or the reverse. And they'll take a big bump and you see their reaction. This is their husband, their wife going through this. And then, they're wishing each other luck before the match. And you'll give it a kiss and, hey, I love you, have a great match. And then they're watching it and they're cringing and everything.
Oh.
And then they come back, backstage. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, that one bad fall, you could be in ER like that.
Right. Yeah.
Just one little mistake. People who've been doing this for 20-something years still can make a mistake or slip or have a Vince McMahon moment where you just come in and tear some stuff.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, it is. I always say it's the most unique form of entertainment out there to me, and glad it's coming back tomorrow night, AEW at the Moody Center, and it is a lot of fun. And yes, it is the live event from 7 to 9. In fact, the bell time they say is 6 o'clock. There's matches before Dynamite actually goes on air. 7 to 9 is Dynamite, and then 9 to basically 10, I guess it is, they'll have more matches that will go on to Rampage, taped on Friday. So you got to get it all. Tony was talking about, is it a great house show or is it you get a little bit of a house show at the beginning, you get a live show in the middle, and then you get a taped for TV show at the end. You absolutely get your money's worth if you're a pro wrestling fan. That I can guarantee you for tomorrow night.
I'm proud of you, by the way. You were fanboying, but you were controlled and
was it okay?
Yeah.
All right, good.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. You were still fanboying. I could see your reactions and how happy and your ears lighting up and stuff, but you were under control. You were professional. You still understood we got a job to do in interviewing Tony, and you did that job. Kudos to you.
I did not ask him for Britt Baker's phone number. I did not ask him if he can introduce me to Jade Cargill. I did not ask him if he could introduce me to Samoa Joe. None of that happened.
It has to come natural.
None of that happened. I didn't ask if I could go meet Darby Allin and have Darby Allin paint half my face. I did not say that.
Like you're emceeing Mark Henry's weightlifting event.
Yeah.
That's going to be another big test for you.
Oh, that's going to be a huge test.
That's going to be a huge test. You're going to have to really keep it together.
That's a huge test. Now, did I hear correctly that you're going to be there?
I'll show up. I don't know if I got the invite, but I'll show up.
Is it you? Who was I hearing about today that's going? Somebody from the station's going. I thought maybe that could be a little support system and could pull me off of a wrestler if I get too crazy.
Yeah, if Mark invites me, I'll show up.
Okay, fair enough.
All right.
Oh, my God. Yeah, so good. I'm glad I kept it under control. Thanks to Tony Khan for his time. Coming up next, Why Today Matters on this May 16th. We got a couple of birthdays to hit. One of my favorite basketball players when I was growing up. I want to get Zay's thoughts on him. Plus, one of the modern day hotties that some people have an issue with. We'll talk about that. We're getting ready for a big night in the NBA as well, including who gets Victor Wembanyama. Is he going to be wearing black and silver? Is he going to be wearing red? Still a little bit of a chance he could wear blue and green. We'll talk about that too on the Horn.
Chad and Zay.
What would you do if I didn't know who this was? What would you do if I couldn't come up with this one?
That'd be a sad day.
That would.
It'd be a sad day.
So at some point, I think I actually had this CD. Mama Said Knock You Out from LL Cool J. Was this the album title as well?
I think so.
Wasn't it? This is a good one. I like this one.
Yeah, it was.
LL's got, in terms of crossover, big time rap that became very popular, that's not, doesn't push like into the dirty realm.
Yeah, he always respected women. When he talked about them, it was always very respectful.
He's Mount Rushmore of that category, right? Now, I'm not saying he's the Mount Rushmore rapper of all time, but like rap that was popular, but not like, edgy or gangster rap or like wasn't swearing a lot.
Yeah.
Crossover rap.
Yeah.
Is that a way to say that?
Right. I'm with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
He's one of the kings of that world.
Yes.
Okay. And still highly respected.
Yes, he's definitely on the Mount Rushmore of rappers turned actors.
Oh, yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
It's probably him, Cube, maybe Ice-T, and I guess Will Smith. I guess.
You can go ahead and throw Will in there.
Yeah, Fresh Prince will, more than anything. I mean, the Miami run was cool.
Has Common done enough to be considered an actor in your mind?
Yeah, he has, but not like those guys. Like LL Cool J's been in multiple horror films.
Yeah,
and
that's
as a
true.
black man lived. Chad.
I was going to say, spoiler alert, he made it all the way through that first shark movie. All the way.
Ice Cube, too. The fact that Ice Cube survived in Anaconda, not only did he have to worry about the big-ass snake, he had to worry about the scary dude with the ponytail on the boat.
Ooh, John Voight.
John Voight was wilding. He was wilding trying to get that snake for some paper.
J-Lo looked incredible in that movie, too.
Man.
Ooh, that was amazing.
I'm trying to stay alive just because J-Lo is.
Good stuff. By the way, this week we're going to take a break from the album swap, and this Thursday we're doing a movie swap. I'm going to watch Blue Chips for the first time. Started watching it last night. I can tell it's going to be way better than Hoosiers. Like, I can tell right away. Just going to be best movie ever. And then Zay has never seen A Few Good Men. I got him the DVD today because I'm the old man with a DVD. Zay, I'm so excited for you to see this movie. Because Tom Cruise is in it, and Jack Nicholson. You saw the cover today and said, I didn't know Demi Moore was in this movie.
I had no clue.
She's awesome. Kevin Bacon, awesome. Kiefer Sutherland, awesome in that movie. A young Cuba Gooding Jr.
Young Cuba Gooding?
Awesome in the movie. And you got to find him, but there's another actor that's in both movies. I saw him last night. He's in Blue Chips, and he's in A Few Good Men. I need you to figure out who it is.
Bet.
Yeah, there you go. So that's coming up on Thursday. All right, right now, let's get into why today matters. There's a massive musical birthday we got to start with. Here we go. Oh, this makes me feel old, but I know she still looks sexy as hell. Happy birthday to Janet Jackson today.
Ooh.
That's 57 today for Miss Janet, if you're nasty. She is coming, I think she's touring this year.
Yeah, she's touring.
And I think she's hitting the Moody Center. I saw the Moody Center give her a little love on Twitter and say, let's celebrate soon. She's coming later in the year to the Moody Center. Janet Jackson, 57 years old. I've never seen Janet live, but I hear it's amazing.
Yeah, she could go.
Yeah.
She could go. I mean, we know she's got good genes and, well, literally good genes, but
she does look good in jeans.
She looks good in jeans, but man, just look at her history from young actress. What shows was she on? Was she on Good Times?
She was.
Yeah.
She was Penny on Good Times.
Yeah, Penny on Good Times.
That's the first place I ever saw her. Then she was Willis's girlfriend on Different Strokes.
That's right.
Was it Charlene? Was that her name?
No, I don't remember that.
Ooh.
She looked good then.
You talk about 80s hot. Oh, my Lord.
Yeah.
Just incredible.
I'm still wondering how Jermaine Dupri bagged that. Because they were married for a little bit.
That's true. Yeah.
And Jermaine Dupri ain't no Blair Underwood. I'll let you know right now, he's no looker, but he did his thing and pulled that. And probably my favorite version of Janet is, have you seen the movie Poetic Justice? John Singleton.
No,
movie.
but I remember the movie poster. I remember that time.
Yeah,
That's a
she,
good
like,
Janet
has
Jackson.
The braids and stuff and
Yeah.
the hat, and she's wearing black like the whole movie, but it's hot. It's just, and she's angry in that movie most of the time. Woo, Janet, special. She is special. Control.
She definitely is. Control Janet was nice. Rhythm Nation Janet was nice. My favorite Janet is probably the If video.
Okay.
That's my Janet Jackson. There's a lot of good Janet Jacksons. I think If is the video because that's the ab. That's ab Janet.
Ab Janet,
Woo,
yeah.
woo, woo, my Lord.
Yeah, when she started showing more skin, because she wasn't showing skin that much in Control, Rhythm Nation. And then once the 90s hit, and she started making like the love songs and passionate stuff. And, I Get So Lonely video. She like throws her jacket open and she's just wearing a bra underneath, boy. Young Zay watched that video plenty of times.
I bet you did. Yeah, her smile is still just one of the most amazing things out there. Janet Jackson with a birthday today. Also, Zay, one of my favorite basketball players growing up, hits 59 today. John Sally from Georgia.
Wait, what?
When I was growing up and ACC basketball when I started to fall for ACC basketball, one of the teams I really liked was Bobby Crimmins and the Georgia Tech teams with Dalrymple and what's my man's name? The white guard.
Brett Barry?
No. Oh, my God. Mark Price?
Oh, Mark Price.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Price. And then John Sally was on that team. And he had the big smile. Always looked like he was having a blast. John Sally ends up being, first NBA player to win with 3 different teams.
Yeah, he won with the Bulls, Lakers, and the Pistons.
And then LeBron and somebody else has gone on to do it after that. But I think Sally was the first guy to do it. I just always loved the way he played. Always felt like he was one of the things that would pull a team together. And so I always rooted for whoever John Sally was with, I always ended up rooting for him.
Guy that loves the camera.
Yeah, he does.
Best Damn Sports Show. He was great on that.
Yep.
Always a role player. He was never a guy that you could throw the ball to and say, go get me a bucket. Always came off the bench for those bad boy Pistons teams. Didn't really play for those Lakers or Bulls teams. But like you said, he's just such a good guy to have around in the locker room. Like, why not?
Yeah.
He's going to be funny and he's going to be that guy you need where you don't take things too seriously. Like, that was probably perfect for Jordan and Pippen and for Isaiah Thomas.
Because he knew his role.
He knew his role.
He's not going to step outside of that.
A lot of intense guys on those teams, like Kobe Bryant and stuff, and you bring in somebody like John Sally that could kind of bring everybody back to earth. That's not going to take things too seriously, but knows how to play and knows his role. Yeah, John Sally, he's an interesting guy. Good cameo in Bad Boys.
Yes. Oh, my God.
Hilarious.
He was the tech in Bad Boys.
The felon tech.
The nerd with the thick glasses in part 2. Yeah, absolutely. Happy birthday to John Sally today.
He's in the first one, too.
I guess he is the first one. Yeah, that's true.
He's a felon in the first one.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
They use him. He's in the
But he's working with him in number 2.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Also, it is Gabriella Sabatini's birthday. I'm a tennis fan. That's my favorite tennis hottie of all time. 53 today for Miss Sabatini. Also, Zay, it is Megan Fox's 37th birthday.
Damn.
Would you ever not date someone because they had weird-looking thumbs? Would that be enough to make you stop dating somebody?
Nope.
Because there are people that tell me that the Megan Fox thumb thing is enough to have them not date Megan Fox.
I ain't looking at her thumbs.
To me, there's about 10,000 other things about Megan Fox that might make you run the other way.
That's what I'm saying.
But the thumb, she does have. There's a condition for it. It's like a stunted thumb, like a stubby thumb.
Okay.
It's shorter and it's a little short, kind of stubby thumb. She got 2 of those.
She ain't no hand model, Chad.
No, she's not.
I was saying, I don't mean nothing.
Highly attractive.
Machine Gun Kelly, I knew he was going to muck it up eventually, but...
Now they're done?
They're done.
Okay.
He had a good run.
That had to be.
He had a great run.
Can you imagine partying with that couple?
Yo.
What was that like? I mean, seriously.
Now he's more focused as a rapper. I've heard a couple of freestyles for him. He's locked in.
Yeah.
He's locked in. I haven't cared much about his rap. His most famous song is called Wild Boy, where it's kind of BC Boys-ish, like the rock/rap mix. That's Machine Gun Kelly.
Yeah.
He's like a new age BC Boy.
Okay.
That's kind of his vibe. Just yelling.
See, I've never listened to his stuff to know. Is it more Beastie Boy or is it more like Kid Rock?
mixture of both.
Kind of
those
mixing
guys.
those ideas?
Yes,
Okay.
that's a good.
Because he plays
example.
guitar and stuff, right?
Yeah, he does a lot.
Got some instruments in there.
Yeah, he does a lot.
Yeah, I've not listened to a lot of it enough to know. My daughter's not a fan of Machine Gun Kelly. For some reason, he does not do it for her. Yeah, she's just not a fan.
Yeah,
So I haven't listened to his albums
he's
yet.
an interesting listen.
Yeah, he is. He did some decent acting in HBO did a show called Roadies with, was that Luke? What's his name? Was that Luke Wilson, I think? Was the head guy in there? Meatloaf was in there. Not Meatloaf. Sorry. I don't think it was Meatloaf. Ron White, the comedian, was in it. And it was a show about roadies traveling around with a concert. And Machine Gun Kelly was in it. He was good there. And he played Tommy Lee in the Motley Crue biopic.
That's right.
Yes. I thought he captured Tommy Lee pretty well because they're both nuts.
Yeah.
Nuts. And they're both like long, lean, white, tatted up dudes. Like it fit visually. It made sense. And I figured that he may be the only actor alive who could like stay up with Tommy Lee partying in his prime.
Yeah.
Machine Gun Kelly could probably do that. All right, there's some Why Today Matters for you. Also, if you're a fan of a big-time running back, how about Thurman Thomas, 57 today? Thurman
Underrated.
Thurman Thomas and Janet Jackson, exactly the same age.
Huh.
Just to give you a comparison. Thurman Thomas, of course, Oklahoma State is that old. Is that good, Thurman Thomas and Barry Sanders, like at the same time? Is that a...
Wait, what are we talking about?
Is that a decent backfield? Like,
back at Oklahoma State?
Is that okay?
Yeah, I think they did well.
They were doing all right. Doing
We're
fine.
not passing much.
Happy birthday to Thurman. Yes, do not pass when you have those two running backs to deal with. All right, just keep handing the ball off for about 8 years. Coming up, we'll get you stems and seeds before we get out of here on a Tuesday. Huge night in the NBA tonight. Wild story coming up involving Becky Hammond. If you haven't heard this one, that's next on The Horn.
Chad and Zay.
All right, just about to wrap it up on a Tuesday. That sounds like Andre.
There we go.
So it's Outkast?
Yes.
Or is there any Andre 3000 solo stuff, or is it just all Outkast?
They dropped
They dropped that double album, right?
album where one was solo and the other was solo.
Yeah, because Hey Ya is on his part of that.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I remember listening to all of that and thinking what neither of them would want me to think. I remember listening to both of those and thinking, yeah, y'all should have edited that down to one album. Y'all should have not worried about this is my album, this is your album. You should have just made an Outkast album.
Yeah,
out of that.
I thought both of them should have done stuff individually. I know Big Boy has albums by himself, but Andre, I don't think so.
All right, so what's the Outkast song here?
This is Elevators, Me and You off the ATLiens album.
I need to listen to more Outkast.
Me and You, your mama and your cousins too. Oh, it's a jam. It's a jam.
I love both of them have it, but something about Andre's delivery always makes me smile because it's so clear.
Mm-hmm.
It's so clear, and that's whatever that is in his voice, it always just makes me happy when I hear it. Outkast, LL Cool J, The Spinners, Quarter Flash, Eddie Money, and Ozzy. Man, that's the music festival I want to go to. And Silk the Shaka with a beat to start the hour. Do I need to be listening to a Silk the Shaka album?
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
Yeah, I mean,
is Shaka Shaka, like Shaka, like Shaka Zulu, or is it Shocker, like Shocker?
It might be Shocker.
Silk the Shocker.
Yeah, Silk the Shocker.
It is Shocker.
It is Shocker. Yeah.
So I can say the awkward white guy pronunciation. It's actually correct.
Yeah.
Silk the Shocker.
Absolutely. Yo, Silk the Shocker, man. Master P's brother. That run that Master P had with No Limit during the era, he was dropping an album like every week with somebody that's a part of No Limit. They were dropping compilation albums like Ghetto D and stuff like that. That was a classic time.
Did he think he was about to die or something?
I don't know.
An album a week.
Yeah, Master P every week. An album was coming out from No Limit.
That's potent right there.
Yeah, C Murder, Mystical, all those people.
All right, before we get out of here, let's hit some basketball. Let's go stems and seeds. We'll start with this wild Becky Hammon story.
No stress, no seeds, no stems, no sticks.
Brought to you by AV Consultations, 255-8678, or go to avconsultations.com. Check this one out. The WNBA has rescinded Vegas's 25 first-round draft pick and suspended Becky Hammon for 2 games. They did an investigation. It found that the franchise violated league rules regarding impermissible player benefits and workplace policies. What the heck's going on here, Zay?
I don't know.
Wow.
That's interesting, Becky.
Had to do with De'Erica Hamby, and the respect for workplace violations stemmed from comments Hammond made to Hamby in connection to her pregnancy.
Uh-oh.
Whoa.
Yeah, if you're pregnant in the WNBA, you might as well have a torn ACL. You're out for like 9 months, obviously.
Sure.
So, yeah, if Becky's looking at you coming back, getting ready to play, and you out here pregnant, and now you can't, that kind of alters some of the roster moves that they're trying to make over there in Vegas.
It's one of the most unique things about women's sports, obviously, the carrying of a baby if they're going to get pregnant. And I've always wondered if more and more leagues is there something in a contract? Is there language that's put in there? Because that's such a tough thing to try to schedule. Sometimes you can't even schedule when it begins, but even if you can, like you said, a 9-month hunk of time?
Like, when do you have time to work on your game?
Yeah,
and lift and get ready?
At best, you're missing 1 season.
Yeah.
At the worst, you're missing parts of 2.
And then after the 9 minutes is up, you still got leave.
9 months, not 9 minutes.
Excuse me, 9 months. Yeah.
Becky Hammon might be wishing it was 9 minutes. Other coaches are wishing it was 9 minutes.
Yeah, Becky been around Pop too long.
You think that's what it is?
Yeah,
she's around the men's side of it a little too much.
She ain't got no sympathy or empathy for anybody. She could care less.
You know what? Think about it. Everything she learned from Greg Popovich, offense, defense, how to deal with pick and roll, how to deal with egos, what wine to pick out. Not once did Greg Popovich think of, all right, now let's talk about what happens when one of your players gets pregnant.
Yeah.
He never thought of that. Never had to.
They almost had something when TP was messing with Brent Barry's wife. They might have had a scare there. That might have been the closest thing.
That's a different kind of scare.
Different